if we use the promo code DANGLE at manscaped.com, do we get an automatic bye to the second round of the NHL playoffs?
I spoke to Manscaped, and they said yes.
They said yes.
That's not how
so the
that
Leafs,
works.
we guarantee that the Leafs beat the Lightning if you use the promo code DANGLE.
Yeah.
Okay. And 20% off and free shipping.
Yeah.
We can't guarantee the Leafs part, but we can guarantee the 20% off and free shipping.
Free shipping to the second round.
Promo code DANGLE, manscaped.com. Let's do it.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Powered by Sports Interaction. Canada's Sportsbook.
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Listen, all I want to know how you're feeling. I just want to know how you're feeling, especially if you're a Leafs fan. I want to know how you're feeling.
Is this going to show up on camera? I just want to see. Here.
What?
Oh, yeah. I can do that.
My sweaty palms?
Yeah.
It's only a little print.
Your knees weak, arms heavy?
Oh, man. And last night, mom's spaghetti.
Really?
No.
Okay. That's good. So are you feeling okay?
I had Leo's penne because he didn't eat it.
Oh, that's good. It's good.
He refused, so he had Cheerios for dinner. I am, my feeling heading into these Stanley Cup playoffs is so different from years past. It's so different from years past. Because listen, if you saw my Leaf Series preview video on my channel, if you saw my full bracket video on the Sportsnet channel, I didn't tell you the full story. I was taking Iggy for a walk the other day, not listening to anything.
And you threw out your back.
It was just vibes. No, hey, my back's been fine for months now. It's fine. I have a morning routine that involves dead bug and glute bridges. It's A-okay. And some band work. Working on that glute med, right? It's all about the glute med.
I don't know what that is, but anyway.
Curls get the girls, but there's nothing that rhymes well with glute med. Anyway, I had a vision while I was walking Iggy, and they're going to win the cup.
What?
They're going to win the cup this year.
That is not what I was expecting you to say.
I had the vision. So it's not me living and dying by every game, although it will be me living and dying by every game. But like in years past, it was a battle waking up the morning of game one and then all day thinking about game one and then experiencing game one and then breaking down game one and then the next day living in the echo of game one only to give birth to game two. I don't think it's going to be like that this year because I am not trapped in the present. I have seen into the future. They're going to win the series, and they're going to win the cup. It came to me in a vision. I'm telling you it's going to happen.
From on high.
From on high.
You're like Constantine the Great as he took on the barbaric tribes in northern Italy.
That's so
to
funny.
reclaim the Eastern Roman Empire. I think that's how it went. I don't, probably not.
Bizarre that you said
And
that.
that he
That's
was
exactly what I thought.
A battlefield convert to Christianity.
I also thought about Constantine Barulin or whoever you were talking about.
Constantine the Great.
Constantine the Great.
Yeah.
Is this a bit?
Do you actually feel...
It's a bit the truth.
You feel like the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to win the Stanley... That's your pick for the Stanley Cup this year?
Legitimately, that's my pick.
Based on being a fan of the team or based on what you evaluate as a hockey analyst that you are?
If I picked them because I was a fan of the team, I would have picked them every year. And I don't.
I picked them every year.
I've never picked them once.
Adam does.
I never bet against the Leafs.
Yeah.
I think that's bad juju.
If
you can't do that.
Go back to every single bracket, because we do them every year, the bracket challenges. Every single bracket Adam's ever put together has the Leafs winning the Stanley Cup.
Cannot bet against your own team.
I don't. I've for the Sportsnet bracket, I've had them get out of the first round once, I think.
Oh, so you'd be pretty accurate. Your record's good.
Yeah. And I was only wrong once.
I bet the guess was Montreal.
Oh.
Anyway, no, but...
So in your Sportsnet bracket, you have the Leafs winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And I'm sure I got made fun of and everything, but it's literally the first time. Now, producer Drew was very quick to point out that I have never had the Cup final right once.
Oh.
And he was celebrating. He was celebrating big time because the last 2 years I've had the Colorado Avalanche winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I've had the Same cup final the last 2 years, the Avs versus the Hurricanes. And this year I did, dude.
You've been very wrong.
Yeah, but if you look back at like before the season,
It's okay.
no, I know they weren't.
Awesome.
They weren't crazy picks. They just simply ended up being wrong.
No, they were
You know what I
incorrect
mean?
picks.
You know what I mean? No, but
Great job.
I thought so. I saw it from on high. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. No Avs in the Cup final this year.
That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. I suppose we'll go through the full bracket. I don't need to do it all right now.
We will go for the
gonna win.
full bracket.
They're going to win the Cup.
Uh,
Keep cool. Keep cool, everyone. They're going to do it.
Jesse, do you want me to send you all of our brackets so you can throw them up on screen, or do you just want to go through them?
Let's just go through.
Okay. Also, we're not gonna start at the brackets. We're gonna go that later. But if you do happen to hear this before the playoffs actually start, please sign up for the bracket. It's at sdpn.ca, or you can check out the SDPN Sports Twitter account.
I believe it's on our website.
It's not?
No.
Oh, I thought Robert told me that it was. My bad. Okay, so it's not. Just check out the SDPN Sports Twitter account. Link is there. And if the link doesn't work, the password is Dangle. Kind of like the promo code.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy how we did that?
20% off your free bracket.
That's right. There are over 1,000 people in it at last I checked, and that was yesterday morning. So I think that's probably ballooned, which is awesome. I'm so excited to see where everybody finishes. And what I always love when we do this, and we haven't done it for a couple of years, is finding out where Steve and Jesse and I finished, which is like, you were 688th. Congratulations.
Jesse was like,
you got into top 400, didn't you?
Like,
I think not last year, but the year before, I had a really good bracket.
Yeah.
I jumped into that. It's all half of it's luck.
Oh,
like,
oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
So people were getting on me about my bracket, and we'll get into it later, but I was like, guys, like, really? Like, oh, this is a dumb stupid dumb joke. You're stupid dumbing. Jesse, how are you feeling as a Leafs fan? I want to know how you're feeling.
I haven't been this excited for a playoffs in a while. Like, it feels like it's been a couple of years. I'm excited for the playoffs in general. Like, my next 2 months are blocked off every night. I got NHL hockey to watch, which is just amazing. Staying up late for those West Coast games too.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
But
I get to do that.
In terms of this series, it's just more, for me, it's more excitement than nerves.
I don't know what to expect at all.
Yeah, because it's such a different challenge than going up against Columbus or Montreal. Because in those series, you look at you're like, okay, the Leafs they're gonna do it, but they're also not going to do it because it's the Leafs, and I don't know how they're gonna overcome their own hurdle of being themselves.
Or Boston, at very least, you know exactly what to expect every time.
Yeah, and this time it's such a different challenge for this group because they're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, but we don't really know what to expect at anybody. So I'm just waiting to see what happens.
I think I'm along those lines too. Like, I'm very zen.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna have fun. You know? I think it's gonna be fun. I think the Leafs had a great year this year. I think last year and the year before that, there was a significant amount of anxiety that came from other places. Like, if you look at, it started with when Tavares signed and then Nylander held out to December. And then we had to have the conversation about the Matthews contract and Mitch Marner's agent, blasting it in the press. And then Mitch Marner holding out to like 2 days before the training camp. And then Mike Babcock not coaching the team properly and their defense not being that strong. And then COVID and then they didn't beat Montreal. And so for me this year, it's like, this is a great team. Unfortunately, Bunting can't play game one, it looks like. Kasha is a game time decision. And I know they're pissed off. And I know they got Montreal, like, that bothered them, that drove them. They talk about that, and I've got some quotes for you guys in a second. But I think what's exciting here, and this might be hilarious posterity-wise, like if the Leafs come out and lay an egg and it's like 8-0, you're going to look at this segment tomorrow and be like, these three idiots.
I mean, it's game one.
But I do feel like super zen about it. I actually feel like this team really has seen the deepest depths. Mm-hmm. They started in last place, really. Mm-hmm. And we've seen loss after loss after loss, but there's a certain kind of, not comfort, but it's like, I've had my heart broken before. I think I'd like to find out what it's like to
not have that happen.
Yeah, and it's not in a negative way. Like, I'm ready, and I feel like they're ready.
And I'm going into the play. Well, I'm going into the playoffs with a truly different feeling for the Leafs opponent than I've had before. Not to say I didn't respect the Montreal Canadiens or the Columbus Blue Jackets.
You did not respect
Bruins.
the Montreal Canadiens.
No, I disrespected them.
Well, I respect the lore of the Montreal Canadiens, but the team, I was like, they're not very good. I have a true reverence for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and and understanding that the Leafs have the privilege, the honest to goodness privilege of playing the back-to-back reigning Stanley Cup champions. It is a unique privilege to play the reigning Stanley Cup champions in the first round, because it is a true
It's a
test of what you have. You're starting, this is the final boss on level 1. And, for anyone who's listening to this in hindsight, we don't know what's going to happen in game 1. Let's say the Leafs get completely killed. You know who got killed in game 1 last year? Montreal, when they took on Vegas.
Yeah.
They lost that game like 5-1.
And then I famously said they'll never win another game this playoffs.
Because that's how it looked.
Idiot.
That's how it looked, though.
It did.
They weren't in that for a moment.
Can I read for you guys the quote that Kyle Dubas had right after the Game 7 loss in Montreal?
I said hi to him on Friday.
Did you?
Yeah, he said hi back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were both at the game. By the way, Friday's game, Steve and I both went to game 82 for different reasons. And there ended up being an extra seat next to us, so Steve came and sat with Natalie and I. But it was one of the most fun Leaf games I've ever gone to, because first off, Willie was like dominant. And secondly, it was mostly fans in the crowd and families, and people were dancing and they were taking their shirts off and swinging them around.
Very few. I feel bad for Natalie because very few people paid to be there.
Right.
I think a lot of season seat holders gave that away.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Here, you go.
No.
Welcome to the dregs, peasants. And they threw away those free tickets.
No Matthews, Marner,
exactly,
Marchand, Bergeron, that sort of thing, right?
That's exactly the sort of game that my neighbors would have given to me and my mom to go to.
And, I got to tell you, it was so much fun. And so it was nice to see Scotiabank rocking like that on Game 82. Huge ovation for the team after, once the final whistle went. But here's what Kyle Dubas said after the Game 7 loss last year. For better or worse, I believe in this group. I believe that they are going to get it done and that they are going to win. I understand that this comes with certain doubts because we have not broken through in the playoffs, but it is my belief that they will. I believe in them as players. I believe in them as people. I know that the decision lies on me and the risk is for me to go ahead that way. I am comfortable with it. I believe that we are going to see the best version of this group next season that we have seen yet. I am willing to bet everything on that. And as far as the regular season goes, this is the best regular season the Leafs have ever had. 115 points.
It's a similar feeling to last year where I'm like, I don't know what I would have done differently. I don't know what they could have done differently to be better. Maybe shore up the backup position, but I really don't know what they could have done differently.
I would have got a goaltender.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing.
I would have got a starting goaltender at the trade deadline.
Yeah. Sounds like something.
I think Jack's been good.
Yeah, but they had the worst save percentage. They had the bottom 5 save percentage for 3 straight months.
I know.
Yeah.
But I look at it. I've really isolated March and April because that's when everyone's trying to play their best hockey, and the Leafs have. The Leafs have, and so is Jack.
And they survived bad save percentage, which you're going to need to do in the playoffs.
Yeah, but then we're rewarded with a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't think they survived with Jack. They survived with Eric Schalgren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jack only played, less than double-digit games towards the end of the season?
Yeah, but the games he did play were very good.
Yes.
And part of that is by design, right? Like they kept him rested. He didn't play the ridiculous Game 82. He didn't play Game 80, I don't think, either.
Here's what Jake Muzzin said. And by the way, I'm pulling these quotes from a Luke Fox article. There's a really long read that the long form things that Sportsnet does every once in a while. He
painted it so well.
Oh, sums up the season beautifully.
Doomed or due.
Muzzin, guys were pissed off. We came into camp to work. It wasn't just going through the motions. It was to get better. There was a little anger in some guys. And, I think Tavares and Wayne Simmons talked about the meeting at the cottage, and they kind of sputtered at the beginning. First 10 games were, I think, they were about
very ho-hum.
Yeah. But then it started to kind of take off. And it was interesting to hear what Keefe had to say after Game 82. He said, almost to a man, we've had guys having career years here offensively and defensively. I think we're feeling good. And the other thing he said was, I expect this series to be borderline violent. Now, he talks about the that he watched the Florida, Tampa, the Florida Cup basically last year, and he said Tampa was in scrums after every whistle.
See, a lot of people call that gamesmanship. No, that's an accurate portrayal of that series. It was a violent series, an incredibly violent series that bled into the preseason. Remember that? Didn't they have like a line brawl?
Yeah.
In the last
They hate each other.
preseason game. That's the Stanley Cup champions and the team that did the Panthers win the President's Trophy?
Yeah, I believe they did.
This year, yeah.
Right? So those are two of the best teams in the league, potentially risking the first few months of their season with, busted wrists and broken hands on a preseason game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are violent teams that hate each other. And, I mean, is Keefe not just preparing the Leafs for something that happens every bloody year? Every single year.
But this
Something
year,
like that
does it not feel like they're better prepared for it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. They're so much more willing to... Like Tampa was not always the aggressor. I would say less than half the time they were the aggressor in certain fighting situations. What helped them and what gave them an advantage is they were better than you, skill-wise, and they didn't back down from the aggression, right? So this year, I mean, who's going to be the aggressor? Simmons, Clifford, maybe Bunting. There's not much else.
Mm-hmm.
But Simmons isn't afraid. Clifford isn't afraid. Bunting isn't afraid. Mikheyev has all of a sudden gotten a bee in his bonnet. Kampf isn't afraid. Engvall isn't afraid. I don't think Matthews or Tavares are going to fight, but they'll get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Riley's not fucking afraid at all.
No, he jumped. He's jumped one of the Boston players on. I forget who it was. But.
Riley's been in the Leafs organization since 2012. He's looking for an excuse to kick someone's ass. Muzzin, Brody, Lyubushkin, this, and Giordano's not afraid of anybody. And Jack Campbell, known as the best fighter of them all. Don't get in his crease or he'll beat the shit out of you. No, I just, they're a different group. And it's not something that's particularly obvious. It's just something that you need to see in action.
Castro's going to play tonight, by the way.
He is. That's confirmed?
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
Pretty good news.
Wow. And I mean, that
great.
guy's not afraid either, but if anyone gives him so much as a face wash, you have to confetti gloves and beat the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you can't touch Andre Kasha.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it makes the lineup decisions for Keefe so much easier too, right? You get that sort of just alleviation of who do we put where? Is this, because without Kasha, and without Bunting, you're going to have a bit of an awkward line somewhere in the lineup. But with Kasha in, that's great. So
he played well against the Lightning this year.
I'm going to ask you guys two questions. I'm going to ask you, tell me how the Leafs can win this, and we're going to focus on that. And then my next question will be, tell me how the Leafs don't win this. So we're gonna war game both scenarios here. If the Leafs are to win, what needs to happen?
The Leafs avoid chaos because they're painted as this young run and gun team, and no, that's not what they are at all. If you watch the Leafs when they play their best hockey, it is controlled, it is slow, it is methodical, right? It's not this fly by the seat of your pants. That's the Panthers. The Panthers play like that. To an extent,
they're wild. The Panthers are wild.
Yeah. To an extent, the Avalanche play like that. The Hurricanes do it in a half chaos, half robotic sort of way. But the Leafs are very, let's say, creatively intentional.
Mm-hmm.
They're creative with their intents, so there will be a plan. They'll maybe deviate from it a bit. They have to go to the net, which they've greatly improved at this season. They have to always have two guys back, which they've greatly improved at this season. And they can't let the game get away from them in those moments. So this is how they lose. Tampa Bay is the sort of team that can score.
Actually, you know what? I want you to hold on that. I just want to go how they win first, and we're going to go around the room, and then how they lose.
That's how they win is I think pretty simple. Like we keep looking at it like there's this ridiculous secret formula that the Leafs just haven't cracked the code. Like literally just play good hockey. Like, it's all very simple.
We have Kerfoot, Matthews, Marner on the first line, Mikheyev, Tavares, Kasha on the second, Nylander, Kampf, Engvall on the third.
Good.
And then a pretty tough line, Clifford, Blackwell, Simmons on the fourth. And you would expect that Blackwell's going to drive most of the play on that fourth line with Clifford and Simmons just being the dust cloud with a bunch of fists coming out of it.
Blackwell's job is to dump the puck into the corner, hold it there long enough for the other two to come and squish whoever he's battling with.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Jesse,
What's up?
same question. If the Leafs are going to win this series, what needs to happen?
For me, it's what didn't happen last year, because I think if Marner, Matthews, Nylander showed up last year, Tavares, who didn't get to play in the series, if the big guys show up offensively, I don't see how they have a chance. I think if you get all of the goals that you're getting during the regular season from Austin Matthews, you get those in the playoffs, and they get out to early leads, they're very good at winning games once they are up heading into the third period, despite what everybody thinks happens in their brains. The Leafs are good at front running.
They're good closers?
They're good at front running in games when they get leads, and if that happens, for me, it's the goal scoring. If Matthews shows up, like, I don't see how they don't win the series in like 6 or 7 games.
So for me, for the Leafs to win this, it's all of those things are true. I agree with all of them. To me, it's the health of Jack Campbell. Where is Jack Campbell at? Because let's not forget, Tampa's got some serious firepower. But Jack Campbell had a spectacular, amazing start and then got hurt. Had a lot of time to sit, had a lot of time to rest. There was many times in late February, early March, we would have loved to have Jack Campbell back, even slightly hurt. However, it's good that he took the time off that he has, because he's come back and he's been great. And really, this is, with Vasilevsky staring you down on the other end, you want to make sure that you got a goalie who can lock it down, and he's looked very, very solid.
He has.
So that brings me to the next question. Guys, tell me how the Leafs don't win this. If they don't win this, what happened?
Well, Campbell gets hurt. I think that's a big issue, because even let's say Vasilevsky and Jack Campbell both go down in the first minute tonight. Then you have Brian Elliott, who's had a .912 save percentage.
It's been very good.
4 points removed from Vasilevsky.
He's still playing.
Who's still playing.
Brian Elliott's still playing hockey.
And I believe re-signed for next year versus Eric Källgren. Now, the one thing I will say in Källgren's favor is he actually had kind of a ho-hum regular season in Sweden last year. And then the playoffs came around, and I believe he was playoff MVP.
Yes.
En route to a victory. So, maybe the same way that players find another level, he could find another level. The other is they let the game get away from them.
Yep.
They allow the chaos to get the best of them, because Tampa is exactly the kind of team who you can play a great game against them for 58 minutes, but they score 3 goals against you in those 2 minutes that you took off. Right?
Yeah. So you got to be engaged the whole time.
You got to be engaged the whole time. You can't take a single minute off, because Tampa will eat you alive. And I think it's a pretty fair thing to say for both teams, but I'm going to say this for the Leafs. Stay out of the box. Stay out of the box.
So the Kyle Clifford insertion in the lineup will be interesting.
You got to be careful. Like, there's no one saying you can't hit. No one saying you can't be rough. No one saying even the after the whistle stuff. It's the playoffs. They're going to take one of you and one of them, right? Just watch the sticks. Don't be dumb with the sticks. They're going to call trips. They're going to call hooks. They're going to call
retaliation.
The easy ones. Yep. They're going to call the easy ones. Stay out of the box. I really like the Leafs penalty kill. I think it's one of their strengths, but I think Tampa is a really good counter to it. Because what I noticed in that 8-1 defeat anyway, and maybe that's just the one game, is they really kept the Leafs bunched up. And that's a problem. You don't want the Leafs bunched up. They're at their best when they're flying around. They keep you wide. They keep you to the perimeter. Then you're making these longer passes. They pick you off. They fly the other way, and they get a scoring chance.
So they want to keep you spread.
They want to keep you spread. I don't think they're going to be able to do that as effectively against Tampa.
Jesse, if the Leafs don't win this, what will have happened?
For me, it's less about the goaltending, because I made the point before. They won in spite of having less than 900% goaltending all season long. So I'm not worried about them. Even if Campbell were to go down, I think they could hold their own with Källgren. For me, it's if Tampa shows up. Like, if Tampa if they play as the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions, how does any team against them have a chance? Like the core that has won 2 straight Stanley Cups is all still there. The defense is intact, minus like Zach Bogosian. All the entire offense they've rebuilt their third line. They don't have that anymore, but they have a new third line that's just as solid.
It's very good.
Like there's
and Hagel added to that.
Who has 20 goals from that line? I forget which one of them put up 20 goals this year.
Friggin' Ross Colton.
It's Colton the 20 goal scorer on that line.
22.
Yeah, I didn't look up the stats, but like they're just as good as they were last year. And going into the playoffs, the theme is Tampa's struggling going in. They've struggled the last 2 years going into the playoffs. If you look at their records, they've had terrible records heading into at the shutdown of the pandemic. They had a terrible record at the end of the regular season there. I think they lost 7 out of their last 10 games going in there.
Wow.
And then last season, they were like 500 heading into the playoffs. And then when the playoffs happened, Victor Hedman's like, okay, it's the playoffs. I'm Victor Hedman. I'm going to show up and play 59 minutes tonight, and this is going to be my game. And that the left side of defense, they're all still there.
Ridiculous.
Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev. They're gonna if they want to shut down the Leafs, they can, and they will, and that's how they're going to win. Is Tampa just plays their game, and when Tampa's playing their game, there's not a single hockey team on earth that can beat Tampa.
So you got to get them off their game.
Yeah.
You have
to get out early.
You got to hopefully cross your fingers that they don't play to their level that they're capable of, or you play a different game where you can shut them down.
When it comes to the shenanigans,
that no team has done in the last 2 years.
When it comes to the shenanigans, it's almost like the Leafs have to be the aggressor.
Sure.
And you got to go at Kucherov every single shift, and one of you is going to have to be the sacrificial lamb, unfortunately, because you can get him off the game, off his game. And he's going to respond by doing something genuinely reprehensible to you and getting suspended because playoff suspensions and playoff fines are he is no stranger to that. He is
fiery, greasy as shit. Like, I'm not saying it out of disrespect. Like, he's one of the best players in the world. He gets targeted all the time. We talk about, Matthews, why doesn't he stick up for himself? And McDavid became Captain Elbow. Kucherov will just try to remove a limb from your body.
No, say it. Kucherov's low-key dirty in the playoffs.
Low-key? There's
key.
Low-key.
The highest key on the piano.
Blatantly in high definition.
No, yeah, you seem like you didn't want to say it.
No, he's a dirty player who, and like, listen, I'm not pretending like the Leafs are all saints, but you can get him off his game. You can get him off his game. You can take
Nikita Kucherov, you can get him off his game.
Absolutely. Now, you could also engage him and he goes into God mode, but you can't be in God mode when you're suspended for the next game.
No. I don't think we're talking about Kadri here.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of it in him.
Red mist.
He's got that red mist. Man.
So for me, and I think I'm going to jump on what Jesse's point was, I think it comes down to confidence here. And what happens is that Tampa gets into a style, and then it's almost impossible to remove them from it. And Jesse said it, right? It was sort of like they play their Tampa hockey, and it comes down to there's a swagger to it, but it's like it's not like overconfident. It's like, no, we're just going to steam. It's like watching a steamroller come at you. And I think conversely, when we've seen in the past with the Leafs, with their inexperience sometimes, with I think frankly poor coaching in the playoffs with Babcock, I don't think he coached that great in the Boston series.
No.
When they get on their heels and then they start throwing blending lines, and it's like, they start when they are desperate, or at least in the past when they have been desperate, they look desperate. Their body language screams desperate. The way they play seems desperate. I was saying it about Joey Anderson. The first period in game 82, he looked like he was holding the stick too tight because somebody passed him the puck, and I swear it went off his stick and then went to eye level and then back down again. You know what I mean? Like they have in the past become frigid. Now they've seen it all. Like the thing is that in the past they were worried about losing. Well, they've lost now.
Yeah.
So now you know what losing is. I do think that the Leafs have a better shot than ever to get into the second round this year. But I think if you let Tampa get into that game and the Leafs conversely play on their heels a little bit, that's what happens. If this is what happens.
The psyche, I think, is so much better heading into this one.
Yes.
But if the Leafs are going to lose to Montreal, how's it going to happen? No. How do you beat Tampa? And all the off-ice shit, how are they going to re-sign blank and blue and blue? I've heard a fraction of that this year. starting goaltenders and unrestricted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard a fraction of it. Everyone from the organization to the fans seem to have their eyes singularly focused on winning.
Yes.
Instead of losing.
Yes.
Instead of how can this go wrong? And I do think the players do kind of feed on that.
Yep. Absolutely. So
if the Leafs lose here, it's going to be a disaster. Let's be honest.
Is it a disaster?
No, the fans last year there was so much apathy to the Leafs after they lost to Montreal. Do you remember that how down everybody was on the Leafs during the summer? Where there's like, and
Yes.
when we came back to training camp, and people were like, I don't know, you guys fucking lost again.
Oh, even the game 1, the home opener.
Oh,
Here's the Leafs, and we're all like, yeah.
imagine they do it again.
I have to be honest.
I can't because it's not going to happen.
I think there was a couple of things that played into last year. Leafs were our only hope last year, especially in Ontario. We were locked down for like another 2 months after they were out. And I was like, well, if it's going to suck ass here and I can't get my vaccine, meanwhile, the Americans are like, oh, we got 14 of them. I just went to the drugstore and bought one. And we're all out and we're all having a good time. I felt like it was the beginning of May last year. It sucked to sit at home for another 2 months before they actually like lifted everything. And that gave you the opportunity. Well, I know, but that gave you the opportunity to hyper focus. Right. And that's why I don't know that necessarily this will be, because I still feel like you lose to Tampa Bay. You still feel like, well, fuck, they were the defending Stanley Cup champions. And the Leafs did 115 points. This is a good team.
But on the other side, you're supposed to say, come back next year. Like
I hate it.
Sucks.
I don't love it. It sucks. But is it going to feel like last year? I don't think so.
I'm not there. I'm not there. You guys are talking about fantasy land.
No, but
you're game one.
It's still a possibility.
No, I'm not game one. I'm not focused on what's going to go wrong because it won't.
There you go. Steve Dangle from on high. Leafs will be Stanley Cup champions. Now, we're going to get into You Can Bet That with David Bastl. As always, please play responsibly when gaming. So it's really important that you check these out. We've got some guidelines for you as it pertains to responsible gaming underneath this video, so you can check it out. You can also click on it. It's in the Spotify description too, which I just found out last episode because I didn't know.
If gaming is not for you, no judgment.
Exactly.
You can just
Absolutely
say it's
no
in the description of the episode.
Is that what
and
I should
that'll
say?
cover everything. Yeah. And we're not just on Spotify.
Hey,
I don't know.
Where else are we?
Hey, I'm Adam, and we're on the description. It's in the description of the episode. Here's David.
Listen,
Let's go.
if gaming isn't for you, if hosting isn't for you, you don't have to do things that you're not necessarily
we'll
good
get
at.
into the segment. You Can Bet That. David Bastl joining us. David, it's the start. We just talked about it at length. It's scary time now.
Well, for some of us, yeah.
Oh yeah, some of us are Jets fans. He's a Jets fan.
Oh,
yeah. So
bye, Mark Scheifele.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we do need to talk.
Started on Mark Scheifele.
I don't know if I feel like showing up next year or playing defense. But anyway,
Adam.
okay, let's talk about going into this series. The guy that at least Leaf fans are going to be watching out for, and I hope Lightning fan are going to be scared of, and that is Austin Matthews. And there's some props going into this series.
Oh, there's a ton of them too, and you know what? That's a really good point. Everybody's going to be focused on 34, the Rocket Richard winner once again this year. And we're going to bring something to this first round like we've never done before. So we're going to go Austin Matthews head-to-head with Steven Stamkos in a lot of points and goals totals. But I also have another one for you guys, and I want you guys to chime in on this one. How many goals, and you have to be exact, how many goals will Austin Matthews score against the Lightning in this series? We have that prop right now at Sports Interaction.
Man, that's so ridiculous.
Man, if it were me, I'm taking 5.
Well, because you have to. Okay, how many games do you think the series is going to go? Then you got to decide on the goals. Because what if you think the Leafs are going to sweep them? You're probably not going to say 5, but then you might, because if they do sweep them, they dominated.
He would have to. He would have to score that many goals in 4 games for them to sweep.
I think he's going to do what he did in 2019 against Boston. He's going to get 5 and 7.
Okay. Now, that brings us to Steve. It's good that you brought it up. Series correct score, which is also something that's available. So it basically means how many games you think it's going to be. Is it going to be 4, 5, 6, or 7, right, David?
Yeah, and who's going to win? And who's going to win as well? So you have to tell me the team and the exact game total. I'll give you, Steve, you're going to love this one. Right now at Sports Interaction, the favorite on the board out of all the possibilities, Leafs to win 4-3, is paying a 5.25.
Can your heart take that?
7-game
no,
series.
absolutely not.
One last thing too.
How do I have to do this all on camera?
I know. That's the best part is we get you. You don't even get to sleep on it with the LFRs. It's just you're in. The last thing though, I think we got to hit on this before we wrap it up, David, is Jesse's favorite head-to-head. Jesse, can you tell us?
You guys have these awesome head-to-head matchups about who's going to get the most points in the series, and you have a Jason Spezza versus Corey Perry bet.
Yes, we do.
Who you guys taking?
Explain that one.
Yeah. and you know what? And I think we're on the same page here because we're circling number 19. However, Corey Perry is the actual favorite at Sports Interaction right now, paying a 176, which is surprising by my stats.
Now, are we talking points here?
We're talking total points. So Perry versus Spezza, most points in the series.
That's an easy one. Corey Perry had 19 goals. Spezza's not even going to play in game one. I got Corey Perry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So
I don't know.
Listen, you can follow David. You can follow at SIA Sports on Twitter at David Bastl as well.
Yep.
sportsinteraction.com/SDP for all your needs there. David, just enjoy the fact that this series you get to sit back and watch us sweat some more. And I just hope you know that the bags under Steve's eyes are going to get deeper and deeper and deeper the longer this thing goes.
Hey, is there anything better than talking to Dave Bastl?
Leafs winning a series, maybe.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Now, one more thing before we get into Winnipeg, because there's a couple of things to talk about there. Jesse has a big question for the show.
Where's my donuts?
Shit!
It's a good point.
They are... Here, wait. I have a vision. I'm having another vision.
Okay, right.
They're going to be here Wednesday.
You made such a big deal about getting me to do this stupid bet when I was like, okay, I'm going to be right. And then you lost.
Here, wait. No.
And then you never brought it up that you lost. And you didn't even buy the donuts and you didn't honor the bet. You forgot the bet happened.
No.
After you forced me into this bet.
This is a very
I won. What happened?
What happened is I forgot, but it's okay. I'm having a vision of Wednesday.
Nostradangle.
They're going to be here. Nostradangle says the donuts will be here Wednesday.
Wow.
Okay, that's all.
All right.
Because we led the show with, we'll make this bet. And then I was right, and we don't bring it up.
Sorry, I'm not used to losing these.
I wanted to say quick congratulations to Dennis Bayak, who's a Winnipeg announcer, who 43 years is retiring, and he's going to spend more time with his wife. But I was just like, man, that is so heartwarming and lovely. So congratulations to Dennis on 43 incredible years in the game. We should all be so lucky. So I just thought that was really, really cool. Some other Winnipeg headlines from today. The Jets have extended Kevin Cheveldayoff, according to a report.
3 years.
3 more years of Chevy. So that's not really the interesting part, though. No offense, Chevy. Congrats on your extension. But let's talk about
He's
what...
not listening.
I don't know. Sometimes I hear stuff and I'm like, okay. So let's talk about the three of the biggest names for the Jets and what they said after game 82, which they played Sunday afternoon.
Oh yeah, I saw. But like people are tweeting about a game, and I'm like, what is this?
It was a makeup game.
Right. The Jets are playing the Kraken.
It was the Blizzard game. So like,
did anyone take a slap shot? Like, did anyone block shots?
Didn't watch. Don't know.
They shouldn't have.
So Blake Wheeler, we'll start with Blake. He said, we can no longer call ourselves contenders. I think we're one of those teams that's sort of a fringe playoff team now. It's up to everyone involved to look at the mirror and say, why? Why did we get to where we're at? Like I said, first and foremost, it's our responsibility as players to bring that quality of play to the ice that we have a chance to contend and compete for a championship. And to be fair to Blake, they have been contenders very recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And got into the second round last year.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that those maybe would have been somewhat special circumstances. I don't know in a full league if that would have been the way it went. Mm-hmm. However, they still have Connor Hellebuck, who won a Vezina 2 years ago, and these other great players.
They might have done better against Montreal if Mark Scheifele hadn't got friggin' suspended for no good reason in game 1.
Paul Stastny. We've got to be held accountable, whether it's player on player, and we've got to have more respect for each other. Thought this was interesting, this quote. I know Scheifele and Wheeler made all the headlines, but I thought this was interesting. When you don't have that, when you don't care about the teammate next to you, potentially, and you just care about what you're doing on certain individual things, that starts bleeding into the game.
Play defense.
And so, and then the one that obviously made the most noise, and I think rightfully so, is Mark Scheifele. Now, he talks a little bit about how bad the year was with COVID and missing the Olympics and how he'd actually forgotten about that and some other things. He's like, I'd like to forget this year. And he said about his future, I'd love to be in Winnipeg, but I also have to see where this is all going and what direction this team is going in. And I guess we'll see this summer. I'm in the prime of my career. I still have so much to improve on too. And I like where my game is at. I like the physical nature of where my body is at. I'm only improving. I'm only getting better. And I'm only going to be a better player next year than I was this year. I just have to know where this team is going and what the direction is and what changes there are going to be, if any. I have to think about my career and what's going to be best for me. Those are going to be talks with my agent and everyone in my family and stuff like that, and figure out what I really want to do. So tomorrow, and he's referring to his meeting with Kevin Cheveldayoff today, which you do at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So tomorrow will be a tough talk. So it will be a tough talk tomorrow. And I wanted to just point this out before we get into this. Compare and contrast that to Paul Stastny.
Yeah, 100%. And again, we shouldn't, lambaste a player for being honest with their thoughts. But you have to understand, dude, Leaf fans have been, clowning on Scheifele at every opportunity because of hey, is there anything better than beating the Leafs? The most harsh criticism of Mark Scheifele that I've read comes from Jets fans.
Yes.
And
they're well aware.
Yeah, they're well aware. And can you imagine one of the Leafs saying that heading into the offseason, how we would react? No Jets fan wants to hear this shit. No Jets fan on planet Earth wants to hear, is it
things got slightly bad and I'm going to leave now.
Yeah, God bless Allen. But no one, if a player ever brings up their agent, no one wants to hear that shit. No one wants, oh, great, cool. This is going to be the story that dominates the summer for my team. Great.
The Mark Scheifele.
Cannot wait.
The quote makes me laugh so much because Mark Scheifele should never play another game as a Winnipeg Jet.
Why?
Wow.
He's done.
He's done.
Mark Scheifele couldn't lead a dog to a tennis ball. He couldn't lead a fish to water. You want more animal references?
Yeah, please give me one more. Mark's dog to a tennis ball. Wow.
Mark,
all right.
He's not a leader for this team, and that's
what makes you say that? Why is he not a leader for this team?
I've never seen a situation in all his years in Winnipeg where it's been like Mark Scheifele stood up for this team and he won this game. It's his tenure's over. I think what are you saying here? I think they've run their course with this core.
They have.
Through this season, I think this is the tipping point here. And they all kind of know it. And Mark Scheifele's done. If you're Kevin Cheveldayoff, it's time to move on.
If Mark Scheifele's name was Patrick Laine, he'd be gone already.
Yeah.
He'd be gone already. All the negative portrayals of Patrick Laine are exactly Mark Scheifele as a player. They're exactly, oh man, he's got a wicked shot. He can throw up the points. Man, this guy doesn't play a lick of defense. Which one of them am I talking about? I am talking about both. I'm talking about both, but that's exactly Scheifele, but he's there.
Right. So
he's there and he's a part of the core and he's a part of the leadership and he does all the same
Is he not
shit.
wearing an A on his jersey?
Yes.
Pretty sure he is. Yeah, because the guy with the C also does the same shit.
Yeah.
Blake Wheeler doesn't play defense. Neither those two are the biggest problems for the Jets, frankly.
It's a lot of money wrapped up in a lot of offense, but not a lot of defense behind it.
Yeah, that's so
not a lot of strides beyond their own red line.
We sat here for the last 2 months of the season pretending Scheifele's great for this organization. He's a good player and everything. He's going to play out the string. No, it's over. We saw it. This is it. This is what they are now. And if you're a good GM, you'd move on because you can read the tea leaves. And it's done. I hope they had their great conversation today because this quote was from yesterday, so the talk would have been today. And I hope he told Kevin Cheveldayoff, I know what I am here now, and I'm done.
You know what gets me about this one too? What? Is I know he's got 2 more years left on his deal, but you chose to sign a long-term deal here with this team.
So wait a second. He's got 2 years left.
Yeah,
He's calling it quits.
22, 23, and 23, 24.
Oh my God, that's so much worse.
He's calling it quits.
And he's got by the way,
he's gone.
In the last 4 years of his deal, it's an 8-year deal. He has modified no trade, so he actually gets to decide partially who he goes to.
Oh, wow.
This summer is going to be holy shit. If you're the Winnipeg Jets, you got to hope for a miracle in the draft lottery, because if you don't get that pick,
and the hard
it's
thing
going to
with
be a nightmare.
The hard thing, because of the way Winnipeg signed this contract, and listen, Winnipeg's ownership is fabulously wealthy. So I don't think that I don't see them doing what the Leafs have done, which is pay a bunch of money up front in bonuses. And then if you need to jettison the guy later on in his contract, there's like a $1 million base salary so that, the Coyotes can take him later on. Scheifele doesn't have that. This year, his real money was $6,750. Next year, it's $5.5. And in the year after that, it's $6 million. Now, the NHL has recovered largely in terms of money. So they're fine. But the reality is that it does make it there's a little bit of a hitch with that. And I do have to wonder, like, when you have Stastny coming on, Stastny's towards the end of his career, saying, when you don't care about the teammate next to you, potentially, and you just care about what you're doing or certain individual things, that starts bleeding into the game.
Does that not sound pointed?
And then here's what I still have. I'm in the prime of my career. I like where my body is at. I'm only improving. I'm only getting better, and I'm only going to be a better player next year than I was this year. I need to know where the team is going and what direction. Mark, you are the direction of the team. Where you and Blake Wheeler go, so go the Jets. And I'll include Connor Hellebuck in that because duh.
Yeah.
But the three of you are the Winnipeg Jets. You're the core.
If he was Czech or Russian or Swedish and saying this in the media, he'd be getting lit up like the 4th of July. But he's a Canada boy, Mark Scheifele. And he ain't getting it.
I had a real question. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to denigrate here. But because of the liability defensively, Canada has offense. Is Mark Scheifele an Olympian?
Fucks no. I can't believe we ever talked about him potentially making Team Canada. Cannot believe it. Like the way the season evolved. Jesus, no. No. Could they win with him? Absolutely. It's Team Canada. Mm-hmm. Should he? No. Absolutely not. No. Not even close. What fringe player doesn't play D? I would easily take Andrew Mangiapane or someone like that over him. Someone who actually kills penalties and gives a fuck. Gives a shit every time they hit the ice, no matter what part of the ice they're on. The part where they skate or the part where they glide. No. To make the Olympic team for any country, let alone Canada, you got to play a full 200-foot game, and he absolutely doesn't. Now, this isn't to say he's going to be a failure the rest of his career.
No, he's still a point-a-game player, still a weapon.
The Leafs made the mistake of not acquiring Phil Kessel, building around Phil Kessel. This is our guy. We're going to build the team around him. That was a mistake. Then he goes to Pittsburgh, and he's 3rd, 4th, or 5th fiddle, and they win back-to-back cups.
And he was spectacular in both runs.
And he was spectacular. I think that's exactly... Mark Scheifele could be that for somebody.
Yeah, Mark Scheifele is a very talented hockey player, and I'm not saying he's guaranteed to be traded next year, but if you're the Winnipeg Jets, you've built a system here where you're building around Mark Scheifele, and that's not the way you can run a hockey team. No. He's a very selfish hockey player in the way he plays. He doesn't play a team game, and if he's in a different role, like Steve said, it's a very successful, it can be a very successful team, but that's not what it is right now, and everything Mark Scheifele's done in his career has backed up that point. And I think if you're a good GM, you move on. But Mark Scheifele might as well. He could come back as a Winnipeg Jet next year. And that's a mistake if you're still building around him.
But if he doesn't come back as a Winnipeg Jet, where is he going and why is it Pittsburgh?
Yeah, really.
No
kidding.
We're all thinking the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Now, as soon as you brought up Kessel, I'm like, oh, that might be a good fit. Now, the reason I want to bring this up too is he wants to know about the direction of the team. And I think that's fair. Like if you're a core member of a team, of course, you want to know where the direction of the team is, especially if the teams come down a little bit.
Absolutely.
So let's look at the makeup of the 17 Winnipeg Jets that went toe to toe with Vegas or was it the 18? 2018 Winnipeg Jets that went toe to toe with Vegas to go to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, Vegas didn't exist in 2017.
That's right. So they were 2017, 2018.
Yeah,
that team was probably the best Jets team we've seen ever.
Marc-Andre Fleury ruined their window.
Right.
Entirely.
It was, and that should have been that way for like 3 more years. Marc-Andre Fleury and COVID and everything else.
It was the most lopsided 5-game victory ever in favor of the team that lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
it's just Marc-Andre Fleury and his merry men. Now, what's different about that Jets team? What's different about the Jets team now to the Jets team then? What changed?
Byfuglien.
And Trouba.
Oh,
and,
yes.
I mean, Myers was a part of it, but I think it was Byfuglien Trouba.
They had a formidable right side.
They were
where Myers didn't have to do everything because he can't. There was Byfuglien, who is like legitimately
freight train.
Like there's two players in the league who stand out physically, and it's Zdeno Chara and Dustin Byfuglien. One because they're the tallest player ever. One because they're the heaviest player ever.
Yeah,
and they were ridiculous. And then Trouba, a young Trouba, back there as well. And the Jets lost them all in one fell swoop.
They did one summer.
Mm-hmm. That's wild. How do you recover from that?
And still, Connor Hellebuck, I think a couple of years later or 1 year later, is able to put in a Vezina caliber performance and drag the team up. But I think the thing about the Jets at that point, and the reason that some of those warts that would have come into Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele's game defensively at that time, is that when you have defense like that, you don't have to play it as much.
That's fair.
And those guys, those were, I mean, I know Blake Wheeler's a bit older, but those were their sort of like formidable coming into my prime years. And, I wonder if they've taken a step back and realized, like Blake Wheeler said, we got to look ourselves in the mirror. Have they taken a step back and looked, how has the team changed around me? And how do I, the core of this team, change to help the team move forward?
I just don't believe it with him and Scheifele, because there are players who are defensively inept. Right? Like, they're
just not good at it.
They're just not good at it because they make the wrong decisions. Like, I love taking a screenshot, the Leafs get scored on. I go, okay, they're not moving anyone from in front of the net. All 5 guys are on this side of the ice, and they're all puck watching. Mm-hmm. That is not laziness. That's not sloth. That's just, they were inept on that play.
Not great systems and maybe not focused.
System's fine. What coach tells them to do that? All 5 of you get over there. Like, that's fair. What's it? Sheldon Keefe. All right, all of you. All right, 1, 2, 3, Timbits. Like, no one says to do that. 1, 2, 3, all of you follow the puck like you're 5. Like,
adherence to the system, I suppose, is what I meant.
Right.
Yes. I don't see that with Scheifele and
I would
Wheeler.
argue the best hockey in the world happens in between the NHL game. When the little kids come out.
It's the most entertaining.
Yeah. Bo's gonna play in the big league.
Yeah.
That is inept when NHL teams play the way that the teams at intermission do. What I see with Scheifele and Wheeler, when I see their low lights, it's not, they're out of position. Matthews lost his man. This, that. It's okay. Here's the play going back to the offensive zone. Mm-hmm. Here's Scheifele's last stride at the red line. Here's the puck going in.
Right. And we saw it even when they beat the Leafs.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of their year.
And he skated on the defensive side of the red line once, and he got suspended for it last year. So you know what? I'm going to clobber that guy after he scores. Like, absolutely ridiculous. So, man, as a team, we got to look in the mirror, and we gotta. Mm-hmm. You know what? A little bit of Catholic guilt, a little bit of shame, I would like to see, but I also believe they call that accountability. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see some accountability there because, listen, are the Jets a wonderfully constructed team? I thought they were going to be better than this.
Yeah, I think they're in flux. I think
they're in flux. I think they're the sort of team that can fight their way into the playoffs and then overachieve.
Mm-hmm.
But their best players have flaws that are too big to overcome.
Unless you have all-star caliber defense.
Which you don't.
Right. So what'll be interesting to see is obviously you want to hang on to Connor Hellebuck, but if you do move on from a guy like Mark Scheifele, that could bring in some really young, great talent to this organization, which has traditionally thrived on developing it.
I think there's a hockey trade to be had there, too.
Absolutely.
They don't need to rebuild. They need to retool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces there.
Yeah.
They're fine. Man, has there been a real roadblock for their young guys getting in the lineup and staying there? I think they got to really build around them. oh my God, Vinny Heinola.
Mm-hmm.
I keep forgetting his full name, and Cole Perfetti. Cole Perfetti. You're gonna look at Scheifele and be like, oh God, who's gonna score our goals for us now? That young man.
The Steve Dangle Podcast is brought to you in part by StatHead, powered by Hockey Reference. I use StatHead all the time in my work. Steve?
Yeah, I also steal Adam's work.
But you don't have to be a professional journalist or member of hockey front office to get the most out of StatHead. With a mix of cutting-edge advanced stats and deep research tools, StatHead makes it easy to dominate your fantasy league or, learn more about your favorite teams, players, and find favorite things you never heard of. And you can get 20% off a year-long subscription to StatHead by going to stathead.com and using the promo code SDP20 to sign up for an annual subscription. That's $60 for a full year Hockey StatHead subscription, or you can upgrade to the All Sports plan, which will give you tools like baseball, pro football, and basketball reference. Again, just use that promo code SDP20.
Jesse, I was really hungry this morning, but I couldn't think, what's the least spicy cereal on the market?
Well, if you go to Magic Spoon, they have a whole spread of non-spicy cereals.
Wow. Do you think our friend Adam knows about that also?
I don't think he does. Adam, do you know about Magic Spoon?
You know what I do know about? 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Only 140 calories per serving. It's keto-friendly, it's gluten-friendly, it's grain-free, it's soy-free, it's low-carb. Build your own box with all their flavors, including cookies and cream and maple waffle. What I know, gentlemen, is that you got to go to magicspoon.com, promo code SDP.
Slash.
Whoa, sorry,
Even.
/SDP, and use the promo code. Yeah. Sorry, you go to magicspoon.com/SDP and be sure to use the promo code, which is also SDP, to save $5 off your order. So, Jesse, you're 100% right, and you get 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund it to you, no questions asked. Again, magicspoon.com/SDP. Use the promo code what?
Dang. No, SDP.
Thank you.
SDP.
Also,
Save
you trampled
$5.
my line. I was going to say, the more you jalapeno.
Nobody needed that.
Okay, guys. You've heard about Stance socks, but I need you to know that Stance is taking a new stance. They're not just socks anymore.
What are they?
Stance is color, comfort, and creativity from head to toe. They got a radical reinvention of your sock drawer, and now we're talking about a soft line of sweatpants and joggers, which I love, shirts, hoodies, hats, and more, now available in a full range of fits, prints, fabric, and fun. I need you to embrace the life of superior comfort and creative expression with the everyday active apparel that truly is stitched different. So here's what it is. Stance's philosophy is that you should never have to sacrifice your own style for the sake of comfort, and now you don't have to. Head over to stance.com and get 15% off your first purchase. The promo code is athletic, like you'll feel when you wear Stance. Hey! Enjoy the color and comfort of a life less ordinary with Stance. They're stitched different. Okay, so we're gonna get into. I want to do some predictions for awards, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so we know that Connor McDavid won the scoring title. We know that Matthews won the goal scoring title. Let's start with the Vezina Trophy, and I'm going to start with Jesse Blake. Jesse, if there's one vote for the Vezina and you have it,
this is the easiest thing in the world is Igor Shesterkin.
Are we all aligned on that?
Is anybody going to say anything different?
So here's what I'll say about Igor Shesterkin. He's the true hallmark of a winner before he's even awarded. Because when I looked at the question, who should win the Vezina Trophy, I immediately thought of him and brushed him aside and went, okay, who else could it be?
Right, right. And you could make an argument for a late argument for Freddie Anderson.
You couldn't.
No.
You can't.
No.
But I mean, I'm trying to. Or
No.
Dude, there's a lot of players.
Jake Markstrom.
There's a lot of players who would win their respective awards in most seasons with the numbers they have. But this season, there were so many spectacular performances at so many different positions. Goal scoring was so far up this year, and still there were how many candidates for the Vezina? Legitimate candidates.
And that's what's been interesting actually about this year's goal scoring's up, but you still have the best goalies in the league posting save percentages over .915 regularly. And Igor Shesterkin, 53 games played, a .935 save percentage.
Which is down which is down from 940. That's the best complete season save percentage since I think Carey Price has won.
I think it's
930?
14-15. Carey
That's-
Price,
yeah,
if I remember
that's
correctly.
where
crazy.
he won everything.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Where he won everything. And and before him, I don't know, Dominator?
Mm-hmm.
15-16 Price was that he only played 12 games. The 14-15 Price season, 933.
You couldn't
Wow.
beat him. You couldn't beat him.
Shesterkin's 934.
Wow.
Yeah, you couldn't beat him.
I do want to say this. A quick little shout out to Ilya Sorokin, who the Islanders listen. The Islanders were garbage this year at the beginning, but they were strong at the end. He is 4th in goals against average, and I think he had a really great second half. He's a guy to watch, and he's 2nd in save percentage. He played 52 games with a 925 on a team that didn't make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, he was second in my Vezina vote.
Yeah,
Get goal scoring for the love of God.
yeah. Just sign a couple. Mark Scheifele.
There you go.
There was
Boom.
a fit guy. Team that plays only defense. Guy that can't play it. It's perfect.
2 advanced stats for Shesterkin.
I honestly think Lou Lamoriello would be alone in a room with Mark Scheifele and just stare at him in the eyes for about 5 seconds before Mark Scheifele went, oh,
I
understand.
I think Mark Scheifele's ego would leave the room before Lou even walked in.
Scheifele for Barzal, make it happen.
Goals saved above expectation.
Yes.
38.2 for Shesterkin.
Wow.
Next closest is Freddie Anderson, who is 9 points back.
Yeah.
20.
It's a clear favorite.
It's Shesterkin.
It's crazy.
To me, I have Markstrom in second, but he's ridiculous.
I started with Vezina because Vezina seemed the easiest. It was the clearest one.
Well, it's the funniest one to predict because it's the GMs who vote on it.
Mhm.
So who has the most wins? It's that one.
Exactly.
Who are the 3 goalies with the most wins? Those 3.
Norris Trophy. I think this one's pretty clear as well, but I am interested to hear what you guys say. Jesse, we'll start with you again.
Cale Makar.
Oh,
Cale Makar is the Norris Trophy winner. So I assume the other candidates you guys are going to go with is Roman Josi, but I don't think that's true at all. If you look at if you're comparing all of the metrics for the defensemen, you look at their offensive production, you look at their defensive production. There's 2 parts of the game. In terms of the points that Josi has put up this season, so Makar is only trailing him by it's 95 to 86 points. But if you take away Josi's secondary assists, it's only 58 to 57.
Oh.
So their primary points, they're virtually tied. And then in their overall points, Makar's only back by 9 points there.
interesting.
The game score that Dom Luszczyszyn loves, Makar leads in that respect as well. Makar's 3rd defenseman since 2000 to record 28 goals.
Wow.
Since the turn of the century, there's only been 3 defensemen who have scored 28 goals for that's Makar. And then on the defensive side of the game,
Potvin and Coffee, by the way, and Orr are the other ones, I think.
so that's
Not
Oh,
since
no.
2000,
That's in
Adam.
2000. Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
That'd be
not
impressive.
That century.
Yeah, yeah, turn of this century. Yes.
Yeah.
So offensively, Makar's numbers are better when you break them down. Defensively, the takeaways. Roman Josi this season has 70 giveaways in comparison to 48 takeaways. Makar, takeaways 49, beats in that respect. And his giveaways, 40. You can't get the puck from him. He rarely has the puck because he's sending it up the ice because he's an offensive defenseman. But in terms of their defensive prowess, I like Makar. And then the time on ice, it's huge for defensemen. Makar beats him.
I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm going to join you because
Go ahead.
my guy is also Cale Makar.
Really?
Actually, I think with these awards, listen, no disrespect to Roman Josi. He's obviously had an incredible season. But again, the goal scoring is wild. And Cale Makar is responsible for defending the leads that he helped build. You know what I mean? With Colorado, we look at Nathan McKinnon, etc. They're loaded up front. But the offense starts with Cale Makar. It starts with Cale Makar, except for when McKinnon decides to go God mode and goes the full length of the ice. With Makar, there's recency bias built into the award voting, but I think
He almost won it the Adam Fox year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said for awarding him for how good he was before Christmas. Like, no one was close.
He was lights out. Yeah.
He was
No
the front
one
runner. And then I
no one
think
was
a lot of the narrative around it got blinded by 3 digits. I think a lot of people saw Roman Josi on pace trying to hit 100 points in the season. That the 100 was such a magical number. It's a great storyline. It's an easy thing for the media to run with. But if you look at the overall picture, Makar's been the better defenseman. He just hasn't put up as many secondary assists. That's literally what is driving Yossi's 9-point lead over him that everybody's kind of running with.
So let me jump in here because my pick is Roman Josi, and the secondary assist is the reason why. You talk about the offense starting and ending with Cale Makar in Colorado. Cale Makar wouldn't have the amount of assists he does if he didn't have unbelievable closers up front. And if you look at Nashville's roster versus Colorado's roster, it's not even close.
No.
We know who's got the better roster. Now, it was great to see Johansson and Duchesne have, frankly, career years. Like, I don't think I've ever seen those two play better.
Matt Duchene's point total is the highest in his career.
So
That's so dumb.
And I thought Johansson was cooked, and he's come back and 60 solid points, and that's great. We're talking about a guy in Roman Josi, and this is why I'd argue for him, with 25 minutes on the ice on average.
Makar beats him in time on ice.
Okay.
That's mind-blowing.
That's crazy. But also, that's just bananas. His even strength time, though, is 21 and a half. Right?
Man.
So most of that time, he's played over a period of game on even strength alone. Then we're talking about, if we talk about goals, he hit 23 of them, which is amazing. I know we always
Not
count
far back.
We should always count goals more than assists. We always should. And I grant you, Makar had more goals, 1,000%. But when you're talking about, well, on the points, he's only 9 points back of Josi. It's still 9 points.
Yeah, man.
Guys, just because it happened on the power play doesn't mean it doesn't count. 73 assists. Roman Josi put in he is number 19 on the top 20 defensive point seasons of all time. Not era adjusted.
Wow.
All time. And you know who he's tied with?
Bobby Orr.
Paul Coffey and Ray Bourque, and he's a point behind Phil Housley and 2 points behind Denny Potvin.
And
Guys.
he might finish second.
And he might. And listen, I get the argument for Cale Makar, but if I'm going to argue for my guy, my guy's going to be Roman Josi, because let's look at a little bit too about what changed in Nashville this year. What happened? Why were they able to get into the playoffs far more convincingly this year than last?
Usually Saros.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
Usually
But also,
going to lead
they can score.
second in the league in wins.
They could not score last year.
If they would have finished much higher if Philip Forsberg had a full season, we'd potentially be talking about him for maybe MVP.
He was amazing. And he always is, but he's always injured.
Honestly, like he would have been in the 50-goal club and he might have challenged Matthews. That's how good he was.
He was great.
Yeah.
So my thinking is, look what Roman Josi did with an objectively less talented roster.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I give him the Norris. And I can't say boo to Cale Makar. There's nothing negative to say about Cale Makar. It's just, this is why I would go with Roman Josi over Cale Makar. Cale Makar is going to win the Norris Trophy. It's going to be him and Adam Fox forever and ever. But I think this year it's Roman Josi. That's my guy.
I'd also like to see Roman Josi play the penalty kill.
He does. 30 seconds a night. That's his average.
He's only played in 13% of Nashville's penalty kill time. Makar, on the other hand, is 30%. Doubles him.
Yeah, that's tough. That is a tough one. It's like, remember the vaunted Kadri for Selke campaign? Well, how was he on the penalty
That
kill?
was fun.
He's never allowed a goal.
Don't bring that up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so funny. By the way, Roman Josi with 47 even strength assists. Let's move on to the Hart Trophy. Most valuable player to their team. Not most valuable player in the league. Most valuable player to their team. That's how the Hart is specified. I don't make the rules. I'm just giving them to you. So, and this is not voted on by the players. So I think it's members of the media, right?
Yes.
So who is your Hart Trophy winner, gentlemen?
Me to start?
I think we got the same guy. Go ahead.
Austin Matthews, because he scored 60 effing goals in 73 bleepity games, and he had quite a few assists to add to that as well. He's an underrated playmaker. He is the premier goal scorer in the NHL, and I am not deterred by the Leafs' positive record without him in the lineup, because those are all fantasy camps. Those are all blips on the radar. It is so much easier to weather that storm when you know the storm is going to pass. All of Matthews' absences have been, we know, short term. He's going to miss the first few games of the season, but he'll be back. He's suspended. We have an actual date of when he is going to be back. He's resting. We know he's going to be back. So 60 goals in 73 games is absolutely stupid. He's the Hart winner, man.
Jesse.
I have the exact same name as Steve Dangle. It is Austin Matthews. And Steve, you touched on the offense, so I'll touch on the defense. Austin Matthews this season came into the season with a plan. He was not only going to be the best offensive player in the league, but he was going to improve on his defensive prowess. And he has done that. Austin Matthews went from 78 takeaways to 47 takeaways last year. Oof, 9th place in the league. And now he is at 92 takeaways, which is the lead for the entire National Hockey League. As The Athletic claimed, Austin Matthews is the takeaway king, not only at 5-on-5, but overall, he led the league in both categories. And his advanced numbers on his defense have only grown each year he's been in the league. His expected goals against has dropped dramatically as he has played more games in the National Hockey League.
Nearly a full goal.
Nearly a full goal in 18-19. He's at 2.87 goals against expected. Now he is at 2.06. Austin Matthews has paired being the best offensive player in the entire National Hockey League outside of McDavid to being also an exceptional defensive player. And I think with that respect, you got to say he's doing the most for his team on both ends of the ice, which I think really matters. And we lose sight of that. Austin
Especially as a number one center.
As the number one center going up the toughest matchups, because other teams are always game planning for him. You know who's going to be scoring. It's going to be Austin Matthews. They're trying to shut him down, and all he does is score, and then he gets back on the other end, and he does his takeaway king things. Go ahead. I thought you were going to jump in.
Oh, no, my bad. The easiest way to shut him down is to make sure the puck isn't on his stick, but because of how good he is at takeaways, he's made that impossible.
Right.
He's a monster.
I'm gonna also third this, and to no surprise for anybody, if you're listening, you know that Austin Matthews has been my pick all season, and I said it 3 or 4 months ago in that TikTok that went viral, and it really pissed off Edmonton, where I said he's the best player on earth right now, and at that time he was. I think Connor McDavid has made a pretty convincing case that he might be the last couple of months. Edmonton with the second best record in the league over the last couple of months, but I'll tell you this: Austin Matthews was far more consistent this year. If you're comparing and contrasting with McDavid, let me run some numbers by you too. Okay, so his average time on ice, even strength. If you think he's only a power play machine, he's playing 17 minutes a night, not on the power play, 17 and a half out of 20 total minutes. When he scores, everybody's like, wow, all of it's on the power play. If you're watching the Leafs, you often see the big, the shots that he has from the hash marks. That's where he scores goals. But he still would have 44 goals if power plays didn't exist. If there was no such thing as a power play, he would have 44 goals and 33 assists.
So he has 16 power play goals this season?
Yeah.
Nice.
And listen, I know that's a lot, but the guy scored 60. Yeah. Think about that. 44 without the power play.
Right.
And he put in, and I know this doesn't matter to non-Leaf fans, but Austin Matthews put in the 4th best points total for any Leaf ever in one season. The only 2 people ahead of him are Gilmore and Sittler.
And it went completely untalked about.
Oh, yeah. We didn't. And by the way, Mitch Marner this year, 9th all time with 35 goals and 62 assists. He's tied with 2 other players. Can you name them, Steve Dangle?
So sorry, he's tied for what?
Mitch is?
Yeah, so 7, 8, and 9 on the top points of all time. Like top single season points of all time with the Toronto Maple Leafs. You got 3 players who had 97 points in Leafs history. By the way, if you want to look up this stat, check out quanthockey.com. And it's pretty pathetic because the Leafs have not been great.
Yeah, a lot of this has to do with the Leafs sucking.
The Leafs do suck.
If you're McDavid, you're like, I'm not cracking the top 100 of seasons by an Oiler.
I'm pretty sure McDavid this year would have had the best single season of all time any Leafs ever had.
Stupid.
That's how great he is. But
do you have your guess?
Mike Gardner?
Okay.
and Dave Anderchuk.
Okay, Jesse.
No, go ahead. Just read them.
So Dave Anderchuk's actually ahead. Dave Anderchuk had 99 points and he sits at number 6, but tied for 7th. Daryl Sittler in 79-80, 40 goals, 57 assists. That's a good year. And the other one, you're not going to believe this, Wilf Paymont. The only other guy to wear 99 in the NHL had 97 points in 1980, 1981. He also had 40 goals and 57 assists. I just thought that was a fun stat.
That is fun.
I love that him and Gretzky wore 99 at the same time.
I know. Wild, right? It's wild that happened.
Who was better?
By the way,
who's to say?
There is, in one of the first Rock'em Sock'ems, there is a clip, because I think it started in the mid-'80s, where Wilf Paymont lays Wayne Gretzky out and then gets attacked by the Oilers. Lays him out. You can look this up. And I believe that was his last shift in the NHL. He never played again.
Rock'em Sock'em started the year we were born.
Okay, so maybe it was before that. But anyways, crazy. I also want to throw this out there. Austin Matthews, even strength points, 77, guys. 77 even strength points.
That's a lot.
I don't think you can argue with that. The Austin Matthews, best player to his team this year. I'm sure people will. But let's move on to the Ted Lindsay. Now, this one is the MVP as voted on, or best player as voted on by other players. Mm-hmm. And this one I think is going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a big divergence between the three of us on this one. So who wants to go first?
Okay. I think the person who should go first is... Okay, does anyone have an answer that isn't Matthews?
No, I'm just going to say, go back 3 minutes and take what I said and then put it here if you want to hear why I think Austin Matthews should win the Ted Lindsay.
So you got Matthews.
Yeah.
Adam.
I have somebody different.
I also have somebody different.
Okay, go ahead.
You go.
I think the players are going to vote for Connor McDavid.
Interesting.
It's not predicting what the players are going to do. It's who do you think?
Who do you think? If you're the player,
I'm not a player.
If you are all the players and you get one vote,
you get a vote in this. You're not a GM.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, fine.
Are you a general manager? Or do you have a vote at all? What the fuck is this exercise?
You know what? For the sake of entertainment, I'm going to argue for Connor McDavid then.
Is that who you think should win it?
Steve, who's winning?
As a player in the National Hockey League, yes, I think
you. That's your honest opinion. You're not just picking what you think the players will pick.
Well, why are we asking about the Hart and the Ted Lindsay if I'm not allowed to have a different opinion?
Well, what would you?
Is that your honest opinion?
Is it your
my
opinion?
honest opinion was the Hart one, but I'm telling you what I think they're going to...
No, your opinion, Steve, is Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't argue for the sake of arguing that if you think, they're going to pick Connor McDavid. No, your pick would have been Austin Matthews.
If you were the NHLPA, you yourself, and the NHLPA gets one vote and you get to choose it. Steve Dangle, right now as you sit here with your life experiences, even though you didn't play a single game in the NHL this year, somehow you're a part of the NHLPA. Your pick is who?
I'd still pick Connor McDavid.
Okay, now tell us why.
Because the conversation begins with him.
Okay.
It always begins with him. Who, the year that he lost it because Taylor Hall won it and he wasn't even nominated, I think we galaxy brained it because we all went, okay, Connor McDavid's the best. Mm-hmm. Who could be the three best around him? And we came up with a list of 3 names. McDavid still ran away with the Art Ross. He let Huberdeau play with it for a little while, and then he went, got your nose, and he took it away in the easy way that only Connor McDavid can. He's still the standard. He's still the boogeyman that all defenses find under their bed when they're sitting in video sessions, when they are planning for the next game. It's Connor McDavid.
He's terrifying.
Yes.
My vote is going to go to, if I am the one NHLPA vote and I'm voting, it's Johnny Gaudreau.
Is that what you think? Holy shit, really?
It's Johnny Gaudreau.
You didn't even pick the right Alberta
Can
team.
you read the Ted Lindsay, the whatever?
Ted Lindsay
What
Award.
is it supposed to be?
It's presented to the most outstanding player as voted on by fellow members of the NHLPA.
Player. Okay. Make your case.
Yeah. So my case is Johnny Gaudreau. And I know it's off the board, but I think that Calgary, you need to put some respect on Calgary's name.
It's not that far off.
But 115 points. By the way, that would be good enough for all time with the Leafs, third all time, which is Jesus, it's just terrible. Johnny Gaudreau blew me away this year. I got to be honest. Like, I thought, because I think he had a no trade clause going into this year, and I thought Calgary's got to move him. They got to move him. This guy he's getting 60, 70 points next year. And hasn't shown up in the playoffs in the way that you need him to.
I legitimately thought he was going to be a Buffalo Sabre or Philadelphia Flyer.
Right, because you thought Jack Eichel, right?
Yeah, I did.
Or who did you think the Flyers would be? I know he wants to go there.
He's just
apparently.
been in a bunch of Flyers rumors.
And yeah, he has. The thing with Johnny Gaudreau that I have been blown away this year by is obviously, 40 goals is pretty amazing. And 75 assists is also amazing. But how much of it came on outside of the power play and penalty kill? And I realize again, 5-on-5. He had 6 power play goals out of 40.
That's it, eh?
He had 56 even strength assists. That's 90 points if penalties didn't exist. That is spectacular.
So he did hit 90. Remember, we read that list, and it's a very exclusive list of players to get 90 even strength points in a season.
And he did it.
It's a list of about a dozen players all time.
Like, you look at Tkachuk and Lindholm and even Mangiapane. Between the three of them, they did most of Calgary's scoring on the they got 30 goals between the three of them on the power play.
Mangiapane was so ridiculous.
He was crazy. But I think, obviously, I used this argument against at some point. I think it was during the Roman Josi conversation. But when you look at the even strength contributions that Johnny gives, it's unbelievable. And I think his even strength goals per 60 is at 1.598. It's one of the highest in the league. One of the highest we've ever seen. His shooting percentage wasn't even that crazy either. Right? Again, we talk about goals and that sort of thing. He had, of the big four on Calgary, Mangiapane, Lindholm, and Tkachuk, he by at least a percentage point, but in most cases too, had less of a shooting percentage. He was shooting 15.3% all year, still got 40 goals. Man. Usually guys that score 40, 45 goals are in the 17 to 18%. He's a spectacular player. And by the way, he is 100% in the face-off dot.
Really?
Yeah.
How many he took?
He took 1. I just thought that was a fun stat. So to me, Johnny Gaudreau, playing the way he played and playing in a brand new system too. Boy, if you had told me at the start of this year that, who's the guy who's going to thrive the most under Daryl Sutter? Johnny Gaudreau.
Well, I think we should move on to the next one.
I think we should.
Can you read the Ted Lindsay again for me?
Ted Lindsay is the trophy presented to the most outstanding player as voted on by the NHLPA members.
The most outstanding thing to happen this entire season is somebody scoring 60 damn goals and also playing great defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that guy isn't the most outstanding player.
I think the answer is compelling content. Jesse Blake.
So you guys aren't honest?
Let's move into
guys to have discussions.
Let's move on to the Jack Adams Award.
Yeah.
Usually, it's supposed to go to the best coach, but what it usually means is the coach who surprised you the most. The team that was shockingly better than we thought. A lot of good candidates for this one.
Yeah.
Who do you give it to?
Mine's half and half. It's half of each reason you just gave me.
Okay, all right.
Half I was surprised, half holy shit they were great. And that is Daryl Sutter.
Oh, okay.
And it's not just Daryl Sutter basically resurrecting the Calgary Flames. It's doing it largely with pieces they already had.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it in a way that, Daryl Sutter gets disrespected some ways. We talk about heavy hockey, big hockey, bullying hockey. He had one of the best lines in the NHL, certainly at 5-on-5. With Elias Lindholm,
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Tkachuk, who was also in trade rumors, and Johnny Gaudreau.
Yep.
Both Tkachuk and Gaudreau were rumored to be heading out the door. In back-to-back summers, Calgary lost TJ Brodie, then went into last season, were bad.
They were bad.
Then, after being bad, they lost their biggest veteran presence and their captain in Mark Giordano to Seattle. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Yes, they got incredible goaltending out of Jake Markstrom. A lot of goalies tend to do better under Daryl Sutter. Would you have a look at that?
What a shock.
Yeah, and it's not just the heavy performances that they got. Oliver Shillington had a breakout season on the back end. Andrew Mangiapane would be the smallest person in this room if he were sitting in here right now. And he was one of the best goal scorers on that team. Certainly one of the best depth goal scorers in the entire league. And then that top line was absolutely spectacular. What else do you want? And they're built for the playoffs, right?
They sure are.
They're absolutely
Blake
built.
Coleman in the playoffs, guys.
Ew.
Matt Tkachuk in the playoffs.
Ew.
You don't want to play him. Lindholm in the playoffs.
All of it yucky, icky, disgusting.
Jesse.
My pick is Mike Sullivan of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And that's an interesting pick.
Take a look at the Pittsburgh Penguins for a second. 60 games or less played this season. Brian Russ, Zach Aston-Reese, Evgeny Malkin, Jason Zucker. In total goals for, the Penguins finished ahead of the Lightning, the Avalanche, the Panthers, the Blues, the Capitals, the Wild, the Oilers, the Leafs. Do you want me to keep going? They're fifth in the league in goals scored. Mike Sullivan coached a defense that consists of Chris Letang and nobody. And he did it to a third place finish in the
just
Metro.
Marcus Johansson and Chris Letang.
It's such an impressive feat of what he did with this roster.
Marcus Pettersson.
Marcus Pettersson.
I was like, who the fuck? Oh, yeah.
Is that Marcus Pettersson? Yeah,
What Mike Sullivan did with this roster to
That's
get them
what it
into third place, and he coaches such a fantastic defensive system that he's coached Tristan Jarry into a bounce back season. He's coached Casey DeSmith into I think he's at a 9-14 or something ridiculous. Mike Sullivan has taken a roster that's truly undermanned compared to many other playoff teams across the league. And older.
And he has to do this every year.
And he really does it every year. And I think for the award, if I have a vote on this award, I'm not looking at it as the team, oh, they fucking surprised me. No, what coach did the best with what they were given? And Mike Sullivan was given truly a lesser team than all of these other playoff teams. And he managed to take this, coach them well, and bring them to a third place in the Metro finish and a chance to win around here in the playoffs. Despite like Tristan Jarry going down, not being available, I think he deserves Jack Adams for the job he's done this season.
I love both of your picks. I love both of them.
I'm trying to look up how many games Malkin played.
39.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Honestly, I'm surprised you got to that number.
I think you guys are absolutely... listen, to argue against Daryl Sutter at this point, I think is foolish.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate what Jesse said there. And I'm also going to try to do the same thing, although I don't know if I've got the same passion that Jesse has.
41, not 39.
Listen, there's something to be said for taking over something that's good, right? It is like, people are like, oh, well, that thing was already good. But when you take over something that's already good, you have the pressure to try to make it better. And by the way, in the NHL, when you get to be really good, the difference between good and better is inches, and it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And that is why I find it shocking that everybody is sleeping on Andrew Brunette.
Yeah.
Listen, the Florida Panthers finished fourth last year. They were great. They were really great. There's no question about it. They had 79 points in 56 games. Here's what you really want to know is the points percentage, right? What's the points percentage? And they did it over 56 games. And as we saw with the Leafs when they played 56 games in 2012, 2013, you can sneak some stuff by that maybe isn't as pleasant.
Yep.
Yeah.
So people, and myself included, were a little bit like, okay, Florida, okay. Gave Tampa a really good series. Okay. Where are you at now? Where are you actually at now? And I have to tell you, the Florida Panthers improved their winning or their percentage to .744 this year. It's one of the best all time. The best team all time are the Detroit Red Wings of 96-97, who got eliminated. This is the regular season. Got eliminated by the Colorado Avalanche in the conference final. Claude Lemieux on Chris Draper, cross-check to the back.
Ooh.
The best season in the NHL we've ever seen in over 82 games is 126 points. The Panthers had 122. Now imagine, you lose, and we know the reasons why, and I agree with the reasons why you lose a Hall of Fame coach, 3-time Stanley Cup winning coach in Joel Quenneville, who looked like, for the first time, he's made the Panthers into not a goofy franchise. You lose him because he needed to lose his job and move on. It would have been really easy for the Panthers to go, okay, well, we're going to bring a guy in, and we're going to hope this works. But if it doesn't, kind of a lost year. He didn't really have the training camp or whatever I can't hear. Okay, there we go. Sorry. We didn't have the training camp to get the guys in, and maybe he wants to play a different system than Quenneville. But no, what they do is they bring in Andrew Brunette, and he is the interim head coach. And as an interim head coach, which he still is now, he's still the interim head coach. He not only brings the...
Might not stay that way.
I don't think so. He not only brings the team to the number one spot in the NHL, he's the all-star coach. He's the guy that is able to get career years out of Huberdeau, Barkov. They do it without Ekblad most of the second half of the year. You bring Bobrovsky is on fire again.
Yep.
Bobrovsky literally raising himself from the dead.
Like the Undertaker.
Andrew Brunette deserves all the credit in the world that you can give him for how this season transpired after Joel Quenneville was let go. There was a huge cloud around that team and around Joel Quenneville, and rightfully so. Andrew Brunette came in and said, okay, guys, forget about all that. You don't take ownership of that. What are we going to do with this season right now? And if you don't count the Montreal game, they basically never got blown out. The Montreal game in Game 82 where they didn't start anybody, and it was 10-1.
10-2.
10-2. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Panthers still scored 2 goals.
By the way, our plus-minus conversation, goal differential conversation.
So Montreal got back.
Speaking of things I got right.
Did you get that one too?
I said, Montreal's going to go out and win that game.
By the way, if you're keeping track, Coyotes finished at -106, I believe, and then Montreal, which was at -107, finishes at +98.
No, can you imagine?
Sorry, -98.
Can you
-98. Numbers are hard.
200 goals that game.
I can't remember who tweeted it, but the Montreal Canadiens have never finished with a negative goal differential in the triple digits ever, and that remains intact.
Right.
That's cool.
I want to throw this at you guys. The Florida Panthers. What's it like to play Florida in Florida? Most of the time, as a Leaf fan, you're like, oh, well, that's the game the Leafs take over. What's it like to play the Florida Panthers in Florida? How many games did the Florida Panthers win at home this year?
29.
I think they had 6 losses.
Okay.
If I remember off the top of my head.
29 is
They had 7 total losses at home.
Like including overtime. Well, they didn't lose any bloody
They
games
didn't lose
in overtime.
any games in overtime at home. Not one.
God.
7 losses total. That's crazy. The next closest is Colorado with 9, and 4 of those were overtime.
Wow.
A 94 goal differential. This team is crazy. I can't wait to see what they do. Andrew Brunette gets my vote.
Quickly before we move on to the next one, I do believe there's an honorable mention here. I just don't think he coached enough games to be in this conversation, but Jay Woodcroft.
I think so too.
In Edmonton.
Yep.
Jay Woodcroft has taken a team that looked like they might even miss the playoffs, completely listless. They might miss the playoffs, and if they make it, they're going to get their asses kicked. And now all of a sudden, I think they're a team that you really need to watch the hell out for.
Guys, the script still says, splish splash, I was taking a bath and I noticed I have beautiful balls. And I also want to say thank you to everybody that today made Steve Dangle doing the Manscaped ad as Elmo go viral, which was great.
Yeah, that's I'm sorry for your childhood. But I'm not sorry for your amazingly clean balls.
Absolutely. And the rest of your body, too, because Manscaped takes care of that. They've got everything from deodorizers to shampoo to body wash. And here's the thing. Everything that you get at Manscaped is cruelty-free, paraben-free, dye-free, and vegan. And each product is infused and with their refined cologne scent. And I actually walked by Steve's head the other day and smelled it, and it smelled great. And I'm not kidding. That actually happened. Your partner, or, your life partner, me, will love the smell of Manscaped and love the smell of you. Experience the new Manscaped product lineup for yourself every single day. And what's that promo code, guys? Dangle! All right, that's 20% off and free shipping. Promo code Dangle at manscaped.com. Again, it's 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Dangle at manscaped.com. Time to get clean with Manscaped's shower routine.
Shout the promo code at your screen. You got to go, Dangle!
Last week, I asked you about something very important. Is your butt having enough fun? Guys, are you having enough butt fun?
You know who's not?
Generally, no. I could use some more.
Some more butt
Can
fun?
you tell me how I can get more?
SeatGeek, baby. Download your favorite app for ticketing. It's SeatGeek. So your butt can have some fun. Now, SeatGeek is so beloved by butts everywhere that they've made it the highest rated ticketing app out there.
Wow.
Oh.
Whether it's for concerts, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, festivals, or anything else, SeatGeek puts butts in seats, including yours, and maybe a friend or two as well.
Can I get tickets to the truck show?
You can. You can.
Monster
you can do that.
truck show?
You can find just about anything there, Jesse.
Yeah.
Just a lot of motor oil. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you're getting a good deal. Green means good, red means bad, and then there's some in between, of course. So, You can get $20 off your first purchase with the promo code SDP at SeatGeek.com or on the SeatGeek app. That again is SDP for $20 off your first SeatGeek order. SeatGeek, get your seat in a seat. Have some butt fun. Download the app today.
I want to speak to who came up with that.
That's what it is. Guys, we got to talk about Rhoback Activewear. This company's awesome. I got a sweater from there, and it is one of the most comfortable sweaters I ever had because it fits me well. And honestly, I don't overheat, which is really nice for a guy like me.
Oh, you got one, huh?
I got one too.
Yo, what the? Where's mine?
Well, Steve, let me tell you about Rhoback's performance hoodies. They're a total game changer. They might be the softest, stretchiest hoodies in the game. Jesse knows. I know. Steve does not know.
I'll
Hockey
learn.
players in the league cannot stop wearing these hoodies, and we can confidently say there's no better hoodie to hit the ice in. So you got to check this out. I would highly, highly recommend. Obviously, they also have Q-zips and polos too, and we can talk about that later in the week. But for right now, we need to talk about the hoodies. Rhoback is gaining traction big time, and we mean it when we say this. It's some of the most comfortable gear we've ever worn. The best part about wearing Rhoback is when you see someone else wearing one, you kind of give them that subtle nod like,
You know.
I'd give Jesse the guy nod. I would not give it to you. So do yourself a favor and use that code DANGLE at Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off your first order on all polos, Q-zips, hoodies, and tees. That promo code is DANGLE. Just in time for the playoffs. Go check them out at Rhoback.com.
Can I order a Rhoback on tracksuit?
Might I need to check it out. Lastly, Calder vote. Who do you give it to?
Michael Moritz Sider.
Jesse.
I got cider.
I got Sider as well. Boo!
Boo.
Moritz Sider. I mean, he does deserve it.
Now, here's why. He's the best rookie.
Yeah.
You come into the league first year, you're number one defenseman on the team. You play the power play, you play the penalty kill, you play 23 minutes a night on a team that sucks. You could be a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, but you can be a number one defenseman and suck at it. Like, look at Rasmus Ristolainen. But Moritz Sider was actually really good.
Yeah.
Moritz Sider was good. And you should give Moritz Sider the contracts that you're giving Rasmus Ristolainen. That's what I think.
Damn. Well, and like, as Leaf fans, we were trying to talk ourselves into Bunting being the top rookie, and we did convince ourselves for a week or two that there was an argument there. Now that we're at the end of the season, there simply isn't. It's Moritz Sider.
Sometimes you do it for the lulz, too.
You do it for the lulz. Red Wings fans, can we be friends again?
Yeah.
It's
If
Moritz Sider.
Bunting ran away with the points lead, I could hear a serious case. But he didn't.
But he didn't.
There was a moment when we were talking about it where he was running away and it was getting ridiculous, and he couldn't keep up that pace, obviously.
There's an argument he wasn't even the best rookie forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
Like-
got Raymond in there.
Yeah.
Raymond and Tanner Jeannot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But, sorry.
Team that surprised you the most, guys?
I mean, I don't think I'm going to have the same answer as you, but the Seattle Kraken.
What? How bad? Well, no. That's for team disappointed
This
you the
is
most.
a positive.
Oh. Well, in that case, sorry. I looked at my phone and I'm like, no, I remember this one. No, actually, sorry. For positive, it's the Calgary Flames. Like, dude, they
They played to their potential.
played to their potential. They were terrible. They looked like a team that, they were where the joy of playing hockey went to die.
Yeah, no kidding.
They all of them looked like they'd rather be doing their taxes. They were awful. They were a joyless watch, underachieving, sulky, sullen, all these terrible rumors of this guy's going to go out of town and this guy's going to go.
They don't like each other.
They don't like each other, and every speech from Sutter's a eulogy, and made a mistake, giving Markstrom all this money. And God, last year's All-Canadian division, Calgary Flames, stung on ice, literally. They've come into this season, I would say, if you like the fun wheel and deal lulls, you think Florida is the standard in the NHL. You think Colorado is the standard in the NHL. To me, in terms of playoff hockey, the Calgary Flames are the standard of the National Hockey League right now. Right now, this season, obviously the standard is the reigning Stanley Cup champions. But at very least in the Western Conference, it's the Calgary Flames. And, even though they added a couple guys this summer, that was unimaginable when the puck dropped in October.
Jesse.
For me, it's the Los Angeles Kings. Who
good
knew
pick.
that adding Philip Deneau, Victor Arvidsson, and Alex Elder would Elder.
No, that makes sense.
I know what I said. Alex Elder would be the key to getting everything running with the Los Angeles Kings. What they've done, just even making the playoffs in the division slot that they did, is just so impressive. When you look at their roster, Adrian Kempe is leading the way. That's their top goal scorer this year. And then there's a good mix of just young talent. They got Quentin Byfield there, obviously.
Yeah.
Brendan Lemieux still 26. There's your hard hitting guy. Alex Alafio, he's been awesome. I'm really shocked by everything that we got out of the Los Angeles Kings, especially with Jonathan Quick and Cal Peterson sharing duties, and Jonathan Quick having a resurgent season at the age of 36 is very
They're
impressive.
playing good structured game around him too.
Yes.
I fully expect LA to screw this up because Bergevin's now involved. But for now, it's been a really fun run.
Trevor Moore.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Damn near 50 points. Dude had 48 and 17 goals.
I'm going to say Nashville for me. The team that surprised me the most was the Nashville Predators, team that could not score, did not have much in goal, and spent too much money on career number 2 centers. And they finally figure out how to score. They have a great goalie. And
based on our preseason picks, they're absolutely the biggest surprise.
They are. And I think they absolutely deserve it. So Nashville, you get my pick. Really excited to see what they do in the playoffs because I think they're a tougher out than people give them credit for. Team that disappointed you the most. Steve, we know your answer, so go ahead.
Kraken, because they were worse than bad. They were irrelevant.
They were not a story. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
You stole everything I was about to say.
Wow. I'm sorry. They were not worth talking about in any way, shape, or form.
There's no story, nothing.
I barely know who plays for them.
Yeah.
I don't even the lighting's dull.
So can I piggyback?
Yeah.
So my
The lighting is bad.
What's the worst thing you can have emotionally towards a person? Apathy. That's what everybody has towards the Kraken.
Love,
Nobody
hate,
gives
apathy.
a shit. They're not even paying attention. So it's just they screwed up their whole coming into the league, and we were so hyped. Do you remember us in June when we were so hyped?
Do I remember TJ in June? By the way, somebody texted the morning show today and said, "Hey TJ, hear you're a Kraken fan."
Oh man, jeez. If you bought a Kraken jersey, cool. But if you got a name on the back, I have to ask why.
Alexiak, get Alexiak,
dude.
He's the one that's going to be there.
It's
nobody cares.
They would. The only reason I remembered they exist is they repeatedly showed up in hat picks and dangets on the receiving end. They were the ones making the mistakes, and for so that's in dangets, and in hat picks they were the team getting turnstiled and torched and
I'm not saying the fans don't care. I'm just saying.
No, you are. You said you hate the fans and you hate the city of Seattle. And Macklemore's music is vanilla at best.
Okay,
is what Jesse said.
Vanilla at best is a compliment for Macklemore. the fans,
hey, that's Seattle's Drake. How dare you?
The fans obviously. I think that's not true. I think the fans obviously care. There's a great fan base. They deserve the team. It's just the narrative around the team is just nothing.
Your identity, Vegas built an identity. We skate you into the Earth's crust. Seattle's identity is they allow a lot of goals. That's not an identity. That's just you're not very good.
Well, you have bad goaltending. I don't think the team's particularly, not saying that they're not, the coach isn't capable, but they're not adhering to the system, whatever system it is. Mm-hmm. And everybody had a bad year except for Jared McCann.
It's funny. Vegas got ran out of the building in their first game, but they found a way to squeak out a 2-1 win. Fleury shut the door, and I believe James Neal had both goals. Seattle was losing 3-0 in their first game, or in their home opener anyway. I don't remember if it was their first game. They erased a 3-goal deficit, and they ended up losing. And part of me goes, can you ride that magic if you win that game?
That's a good question. Man, your memory for some of this shit, again, I'm like, what? Who the hell remembers that?
And do I remember what I'm doing tomorrow?
No.
I fuck?
No.
No, I don't. But they're... they could be relevant down the line, but what a disappointing first season.
Yep.
It's not about the fact that they were bad. It's about the fact that they were irrelevant.
Now, I'm going to bring up a different team. And I think it's important that when I bring up this different team, you got to take what happened off the ice, off the table. Okay? So my most disappointing team this year is the Chicago Blackhawks. And I'm talking about only what happened on the ice because obviously they were the most disappointing team off the ice. Not even a fucking question.
Sorry. I'm glad you characterized it that way because I'm like, oh, that's an error.
Yes.
But yes.
Let's remember what this team was going into this season. It's a team that got Seth Jones and signed him a big fat extension, and people are very excited about that.
This hasn't kicked in yet.
That hasn't even started. You have Dominic Kubalik on the way up. You've got
Calder nominee
Tyler Johnson basically for free. You got Marc-Andre Fleury, the guy that won the best goalie of the year for free. They gave him to you for nothing. Vegas couldn't kick his ass out of town fast enough for reasons we still don't understand. And look at that, they didn't make the playoffs, but I digress. I look at this team. Also, you have the return of Jonathan Toews after a year off.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, Patrick Kane still being Patrick Kane. And look at what happened this year. You have DeBrincat scoring 40. No one fucking cares. Kane's still a point of game player. No one cares. You know why? Because nobody else did shit. And the one guy who Toews said, hey, listen, if I was going to build my team around this guy, it would be Hagel. They trade him to who?
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? And I just feel like...
Who does that help?
I feel like when Toews said that, it's because he said, I don't know where this team is going or what this identity is. And you know what? It's probably time for the Toews and Kane era to end. I know Kane's still a great player. I don't know that Toews is anymore. We'll see next season, I think. We'll really know for sure. But I think that's the end.
He had a terrible start.
I think it's the end. And I think Chicago... as a team is just not very well put together. And God bless them. They got Caleb Jones. They got Duncan Keith's salary off the books by some hook or crook. But to be honest with you, I think the Chicago Blackhawks, they came into this year with playoff aspirations, and where did they finish?
They need
garbage.
They need a save.
They need a save.
They couldn't catch a cold after they lost Fleury. They need a save.
Player that surprised you the most?
I didn't mind the Hagel trade.
Because Hagel, low-key, had 7 points.
Yeah. Well,
for the Lightning?
They got Taylor Radish,
who's good, but he doesn't need to score for the Lightning like he did for Chicago, right?
Right.
That's why I would say
they got a first-round pick, which is top 10 protected.
Mm-hmm.
They got Taylor Radish, who in NHL 22 projects to be a very good player.
He is
I
a
have
very
done
good player.
my scouting on Taylor Radish. He projects to be, I think, an 88 overall.
But they did not, heading into the season, project to be a team selling at the deadline.
No.
Right.
So the only reason they were able to do that is because they were ass.
Yeah, they should have kept on Hagel and went on a playoff run. Steve, who's your player that I'm asked before I interrupted about the Hagel trade? Adam followed up the next question.
Player that surprised you the most this year?
Oh, you asked that?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to say, I'm enamored with the Calgary Flames. So can I say Johnny Gaudreau?
Absolutely.
Just because I really thought he had
I
fallen
figured
off.
a few players would come up more than once.
Yeah, I really thought he had fallen off and that team had fallen off and it all fell off, but he was an assassin at even strength. And did you see in that Nashville game, I can't remember the player, but he won like this. He did the flinch.
What?
Johnny Gaudreau's an actual child. Like that dude and that team.
Is that the punk test?
Like, yeah. Like, I couldn't believe he did that because almost anyone in the league could squish him like a bug.
Yeah.
But he just does not fucking care. Like, he's playing with the confidence of a dude who's 6'4", which Jesse would call short. But he's
I look down on him.
Yeah.
unbelievable. He's unbelievable. And I didn't think he'd be able to put up a career year after last year.
Jesse, player that surprised you the most?
The correct answer here, and he deserves some sort of award for his season this year. Tage motherfucking Thompson. Tage Thompson.
Great pick.
Until Sam Reinhart was traded away from Buffalo, Tage Thompson didn't play center for the first 145 games of his career.
That's wild.
And this year they said, okay, you've played center a little bit now. You're our full-time number one center, Tage. And what did Tage Thompson do? He went out and scored 38 goals, which is the career high of Jack Eichel. They have this career high in his first season as a full-time number 1 center for the Buffalo Sabres. Tage Thompson deserves the Tage Thompson Award for being the most surprising player of the league. Last year, 38 games played, 8 goals, 6 assists. This year, 38 goals, 30 assists, number 1 center, bona fide star in this league in the future. I love Tage Thompson. Huge player who's going to play a long time in this league. Congratulations on a fantastic season on a team that looks like it was going to be contending for one of the worst teams ever. He lifted that team to a competency of not last.
Yes.
Competent.
Way to go, Tage.
They were competent.
And
relevant.
Of the 40 goals that they scored all year, he scored 38 of them, and I'm happy for the Buffalo Sabres.
Hey.
Player that surprised me the most, I was going to say Roman Josi, but I'm going to change my answer. Roman Josi did surprise me a lot. It was like, holy shit. But I think the player that actually surprises me the most, and bring on the homers, is Michael Bunting. Michael Bunting played like something like 20 career NHL games before the Leafs picked him up and said, we're going to give you 2 years and you're going to make like $850,000 each year. And listen, if I'd played 20 career games and the Leafs offered me close to $1 million each year, I'd be like, hell yeah. You got to understand too, right? Everybody's like, wow, he's playing with Matthews and Martin. Who's not going to score? And I get that. But you got to remember that Michael Bunting, there was no guarantees Michael Bunting was going to be on this team. There was no guarantees that he was going to play with Matthews and Martin. Michael Bunting
played in the 4th line.
Started on the 4th line.
He's a 4th liner.
Nick Ritchie was the guy that they're like, that's our guy. And Michael Bunting came in and said, this is mine now. And he has played all year with the swagger and attitude that your uncle has wished the Leafs played with. It harkens back a little, not quite as Looney Tunes, and I love you, Darcy. He's a little like Darcy Tucker in the way that he's like, sometimes he's just going to go crazy on you, and you just don't know. Most of the time, it's controlled. But then you see those clips sometimes, Darcy Tucker had the passion, TM. And Michael Bunting seems to have that. And the more confident he got, this 60-point player, more confident he got throughout the year, the more you go, this guy can unlock a lot of things. Now, I get he'll be 25 when next season starts. But I want you to think about how long it took Edmonton to find somebody to play with Connor McDavid, not named Leon Draisaitl. It's not easy to play with hyper-skilled players like Marner and Matthews and McDavid and Draisaitl. A lot of guys can't hack it. But just like Crosby and Kunitz, sometimes it just works. And I think Michael Bunting, to me, surprised me the most. Anybody who said, Mike, you're gonna get 60 points for $900,000. If I had said that at the beginning of the year, you believe I would have said it, but you would have been like, well, Adam said it, so it's fucking stupid. And
I would have said that.
It's honestly, it's a crazy amount of points. Good for Michael Bunting. I'm throwing him up there.
The reason you saw me looking on my phone is I was trying to find the Leafs roster from opening night. I could not find it, but I did find a Kristen Shilton article from 2019 about how Jason Spezza was a healthy scratch for game 1.
Oh, God.
So we have come along.
Player that disappointed you the most?
I mean, I don't think there's a question that you go from Vezina candidate to borderline the reason your team finished as bad as they did. Philip Grubauer, he was awful, and I really don't know what you blame it on, other than just he stood in front of the puck and it went by him often.
He was this year's Bobrovsky.
Dude,
big expectations, no results.
He was this year's Bobrovsky without the resume at all.
Right.
He was a pleasant surprise last year and came to Vegas, and in the same way that Tage Thompson, like there was a moment where you're like, is he just good now?
Yeah.
Like there came a moment this season where it's like, oh, is Philip Grubauer just bad? I guess he's just bad.
Yeah.
And he had a slightly not as bad stretch that regressed back to pretty gosh darn shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, most Seattle games were over before they started because they couldn't catch a beach ball.
Jesse.
For me, it's Elias Pettersson. For years, all I've been doing is banking on Pettersson turning into a 5th overall pick that he is and becoming a star in the National Hockey League. And all he's done is have an injured season last year where he got his wrist injury.
Which is obviously not his fault.
Not his fault. Struggled all year, wrist injury, only plays 26 games. Comes to training camp. He doesn't play in training camp because he needs his extension. He gets his $7.8 $1.26 million extension.
Less than Quinn Hughes.
Less than Quinn Hughes. We had a donut bet on that you remembered. So
Sure did.
They don't cancel each other out, do they?
Listen, when you lose as often as I do, you remember your wins.
Misses training camp, and then he starts the year and he's not there. You know, we haven't seen Pettersson mature into the star that everybody projected him to be with this Vancouver Canucks team. And he's 23 years old, and he's watching the peers that he came into the league with, the McDavids, the Matthews. They were a little earlier than him. He should be maturing into a star, and we haven't seen that. We've seen him regress consistently. His point total throughout his career has been 66 points, 66 points, 68 points. That is not what you expect out of somebody who's 20, 21, and then 22 and 23. You want them to be improving each year. And the fact that he's not doing that, to me, is the biggest disappointment. We're watching a star not turn into a star.
Injuries, though.
One injury.
And it's a significant one.
A wrist
is an
injury.
important one.
Yes.
I will say this, really, really disappointing starts that, I mean, I don't know if you can call deep into the heart of winter a start. But his back half was significantly improved.
It was. Once Boudreau got in there, the entire team turned around, but he didn't turn around to the point where
not right away either.
Yeah, and it wasn't special.
I think, I mean, I'll happily buy low on Elias Pettersson's stock.
Yeah.
I'll happily buy low on that stock, but this season, you're right.
We've been buying it since his rookie year. We've been expecting more.
This is when it's gonna hit.
And literally, like, Canucks fans, and I don't blame fans for this because you get excited, but like they were like, well, is he better than Matthews already? Like, there were articles about
yeah.
And no, he's not. Now mine changed today, and it changed because of something we talked about earlier. Mark Scheifele is the most disappointing NHLer this year.
Wow.
Let me tell you why. You know, here's the thing. When I saw that press conference, because I didn't just read the quotes, you know, I actually watched the press conference. I saw a guy who was like, you know what? Like, this team, this Jets logo reports to Scheif. That's the guy I saw. Leaning back from the mic, you know, it's going to be a tough conversation. You know, we're going to have to chat. Where's this team going, Chev? Where's the team going?
Yeah.
That's what he was saying publicly. If that's the kind of guy you are publicly, where arguably you're at your most controlled, what do you like in the dressing room with a bunch of guys that you've been hanging out with all year? What's it like after a Winnipeg Jets loss? Because really, anybody can be good after a win. We saw the video. Oh, boys, is there anything like beating the Leafs? Anything better? Well, no, not for you this year, Mark. And to be honest, if that's as good as you can make it after a win, I wouldn't want to be there after a loss. Let me bring some other things. Now, listen, he had a great season offensively. When does he not? That's literally what he's paid to do. But his defense, both with the eye test and analytically, is shocking.
It's really bad.
It's bad. You can find YouTube videos that are, you know how Steve sits in the summer and watches all of Matthews' goals on like a YouTube video?
Because it's so fun.
Because there are people that put together combo videos of Mark Scheifele being shitty at defense.
Dude.
And listen, I can relate to being a Jets fan because as a Raptors fan and as a Jays fan, I have seen players who are star players who sign long-term contracts in my city say, I don't want to be here anymore because the road got kind of hard. I saw Vince Carter do it. I know I'm glad Vince Carter's had his image rehabilitated, but Vince Carter quit on the Raptors. He did.
There's no denial.
He quit on the Raptors. Sean Green leaving in baseball was one of the first heartbreaking moments I ever had. Sean Green, oh my God. Carlos Delgado, although he was very, very classy on his exit. And not everybody else was. Clemens wasn't. David Wells was a total piece of shit.
It's so weird that it was against Roger Clemens' character.
I know. Well, Clemens wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. Wells was a piece of shit. He called Toronto fans, he literally called us shitty.
Oh,
and so Dave. I can relate to a Winnipeg fan when they don't want stars to leave. And a guy like Scheifele, knowing that, gets up in front of the camera and knows it'll be on the national media the next day and says, I don't know if I'm going to be here next year. Really?
Contract.
I think you're under contract, Mark.
Under contract. And I can't. That's why I was so surprised, because when you said that, I'm like, I didn't know his contract was up.
No,
2 more years,
like
Mark.
A UFA.
Yeah.
He's talking like a UFA, and he's out the door.
I would say to him, listen, waive your no trade clause and we'll talk, but I'm not moving you until you waive it. if I'm the GM. That's where the conversation
none of
starts.
this partial shit.
Yeah.
Also, so he's causing the anxiety, and he's the one who directly contributed to it. And I just one last thing on Scheif. Minus 17, guys. He's a minus 17. Now, I know plus minus is sort of a shitty stat, but when plus minus gets goofy, you can look at that and go, well, that seems extreme. Maybe there's a problem there. You look at every analytic, like that's your gateway drug is plus minus, and then you get into the real analytics, and I'm telling you, it's bad. Scheifele is disappointing as a leader and as a leader in the community as well. I'm so shocked by his comments yesterday. I'm just blown away. I am.
I mean,
I think it's shitty, man.
We did this.
I know,
we did do it, and like maybe there is an element of an axe to grind, like as
with the
Leaf
Jets,
fans,
maybe
as maybe. But if a Leaf pulled that shit, this summer would be
a nightmare. Be a nightmare for us.
He would be the middle ingredient of a s'more.
Yeah,
from April through September.
Anyway,
he'd be.
I'm sorry to go hard.
It would be the barbecue of whoever that player
Adam,
was.
you did a fantastic episode of a show released this morning.
I'm sorry.
Can you talk about it?
Oh, did I? Oh, I thought you were just talking about. I thought you were making fun of me. Agent Provocateur Boko Amama is joining us. Boko got his first goal and obviously a big call up. 25 years old. He's got a great story, and he talks about everything from being like the only black kid in an all-white hockey league in Montreal. And it was really interesting. He had some really great insights on that because Alan jumps right into it. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're going here now. and
Alan,
I was like,
he doesn't mince words.
So Alan's a wild card. I go on those interviews sometimes. I'm like, I got no idea how today's going to go. And he's like, did you experience racism?
I was like, that was his question.
That's how he started?
Yes. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, man.
Like, what?
And Boko's like, well, yeah.
Yes.
And then he goes and he talks about it. And this is where I thought it was like, this is one of the most thoughtful ways I've ever seen it put. Boko's like, yeah. And he's like, sometimes you go 3-4 months without it. He's like, but you always sort of knew. Like it was always waiting for the other shit to drop. But Boko's story is so much more than that. And I want you to listen for the fact that when he opens up, especially towards the end of the episode, you see him really come into his own. Oh my God. Just a likable, fun character that you can see why teammates rave about this guy.
Absolutely. And I am excited to hear what Alan has to say with Boko.
How do you think Steve does as an Alan
It's
impression?
mediocre.
Mediocre?
Yeah, no, because I
it.
know your Elmo impression, and that's like 9.5 out of 10.
He's had 20 years to perfect that.
Yeah,
He's going to work on Alan.
Get working on Alan.
All right. Now, if you want to get
Elmo interviewing Alan Walsh.
I guess we can.
Next on Agent Provocateur, we have a red monster.
We got 4 minutes left on the recording.
Okay, so you know what? We'll leave it here. We'll do our brackets next episode. A couple games in, and we'll see how we're doing. But we'll get into the brackets next show. I think we needed to talk about all the awards and stuff this show, right, to get it all done. So listen, thank you so much for listening as always. Agent Provocateur, CJ Show, and STP, brand new on a Monday. And by the time you listen to this, the Leafs have already played and won their first game. They've already won it.
Yeah?
It's 1-0. Go Leafs, go. How do I know that? Because Steve is a seer, and he had a vision from on high. Anything else to add?
I'm just picturing it.
Yeah?
I saw.
What happens? Tell us. Explain. Describe.
Watch a Leafs game with Steve Dangle. I cry the deepest tears.
The Steve Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's Sportsbook.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.